Hey, what's up, everybody? Man, we've got 135 people waiting prior to the stream even starting. Chat is popping off. Happy to see everybody. I got to tell you, I am so excited about today and what we're going to talk about. I've been thinking about this for a while. This is the first time I'm kind of like giving this talk, so to speak, in more like a structured format. It might be a talk that I give like, many times. And I'm just hoping today, I've been making some notes. I'm hoping today that I can just get out of my head clearly, like what I want to share with you guys and what I want to talk about today, because I know how truly impactful it is. The title of this is Process is Everything. Now, obviously, it's not literally everything, okay? There's other details. But process is everything. It's kind of everything. I think you're going to come to the conclusion that it's kind of everything. Like, it's so important that it's kind of everything. And if you don't understand process in the way that we're going to talk about it today, that's the reason why you might be feeling like your business is not where you want it to be. You're not getting what you want out of business. You're not getting what you want out of life. But we're gonna get into all of that. Okay. First, we need to say hi to everybody in the chat. So when you are here, make sure you say hi. Maybe let me know where you're watching from, especially if you're new here. I always see a lot of familiar faces, but we also get a lot of new people as well, which is absolutely fantastic. That's what we're looking for. And I've got some warm-up questions because I know, it takes YouTube a little while to get the notification out to everybody, and I want to make sure that people don't miss the very beginning. So we got a couple little warm-up questions that I'm going to give you related to what we're going to talk about today. But I just want to kind of see what's going on with the chat first. We've got Maddie in the house. We've got Michelle. Is that Michelle? Maybe Michelle. Amigo. Wow, the chat's going quick. Ian, Larry, Christopher, Evan, Calisthenics Ireland is here. Brian Jones is here. Those are some familiar faces. Charlie Sasser is here. We've got Jason Vargas in the house from Arizona. Okay. We've got a lot of familiar faces. Luke is in Japan. Andy Tate is here. Okay. Fantastic. All right. The numbers are growing, which is what we want to see. Let's do some warm-ups. Oh, by the way, too, before we get into warm-up, I don't want you to hear the word process. Like, let's not make this mistake. Don't hear the word process and think that we're going to talk about process the way that everybody else talks about process today, because I don't want your eyes to glaze over. I don't want you to feel like, oh, this is going to be some boring talk. We're going to talk about process in a completely different way. This is the mindset shift. This whole session today is about completely flipping how you think about process in your business and why it is so absolutely critical. So we're not going to talk about SOPs. We're not going to talk about organization. We're not going to talk about efficiency. We're not going to talk about documentation. This is what, anytime someone mentions the word process in web design, that's all they talk about. It's all they want to talk about. And it's so tremendously boring. It is so tremendously. I'm not saying that stuff is not important. You've got to have SOPs. You've got to have a process for efficiency and consistency and all of the things that they always talk about. But when knowing what we should know about process, like talking about those things and never seeming to ever connect the dot to the other thing that is so tremendously important, it's so boring to talk about SOPs and efficiency and all of that. That's not what we're going to be talking about today when we're talking about process, okay? This is going to be a really important perspective shift for you. And I will say this, you're probably in one of two camps when it comes to process in the way that we're going to talk about it. One is you either don't have one, or you have actually, I guess it would be three camps. You either don't have one, that would be camp number one. You just fucking wing it, okay? And a lot of people do that. Number two would be that you don't have a good process. So like you have a process, but it's not good. And I'm going to try to make this as clear as possible. I kind of have a non-tech example of that. But you could have no process. You could have a bad process, Or you could have a good process, but you fail to communicate it clearly and communicate it properly and communicate it at the right times. And that's killing you just as much as not having a process almost. Okay, so this is going to be the mindset shift that we're going to talk about. But here are the warm-ups. Warm-ups is, and then we're going to talk about what you're going to get out of this masterclass. Because I want to, before we really get into the meat, I want you to understand why you should sit here and listen to this. Like, what are you actually going to get out of this? And I promise it's going to be practical and it's going to be actionable. Literally, you can, as soon as this stream is done, get a little pin out, get a little piece of paper out, and you can completely change how your business is sold, marketed, priced, everything. Everything can change after this session if you want it to, and if you actually do the work. That's the promise, okay? It is that actionable. It is that practical. Now, here's the warm-up. Are you happy? I need to know in the chat, and I got to get my chat up so I can actually watch these answers come in. And be honest. Be honest. We're not judging you, okay? We're just say it like it is. That's what we do here. So are you happy with how much money you are making in web design right now? Like, is this your end goal? Are you like, wow, I've really made it. I've really figured it out. I'm super happy with the money that I'm making, the revenue that's coming in, the margin that's attached to that revenue, my business's financial health in general. I'm just really stoked. I've never been happier. Is that you? Or do you feel like there's a lot more that you should be accomplishing? Do you feel like your work is a lot more valuable than what you charge for it or what you think people will pay for it? Do you feel like you're working too hard for the amount of money that's coming in? Like, tell me what your experience is right now. So Charlie's like, not even close. Maddie says, nope, not happy with the amount of money. A lot of nopes. I would like to make more. Nope. We got to talk about this too from a not just a success business standpoint too, because I think for most of us, like entrepreneurs, me, it's like I want to make an impact with the business that I have. So we want to make a bigger impact for the clients that we work for. We want to actually build wealth. Like, there's a difference between just having a successful business where you can pay your bills and work remote. Maybe that's like a goal that you have. So you're working remote is like a box you checked. Paying your bills, that's a box you checked. There's a big difference between checking those boxes and like building legitimate wealth. Okay. And we got to think about retirement. We got to think about what's coming next. We got to think about our kids. There's a lot of things that we got to think about. And so you could have a business that pays your bills and gets you to work remote and all of those other little boxes, but maybe it's not building you any wealth. Maybe it's not doing all of the bigger, more lofty goals that you had in the very beginning. We got a lot of, just not where I want to be. Peacock says, I want to be doing at least $75,000 a year. I'm not sure how to get there. See, I don't want you doing $75,000. I want you doing like $750,000 a year, right? And that's the difference, right? $75,000, maybe you pay your bills. Maybe you work remote. Maybe you check those little boxes, but you're not wealth building at that. And we're going to talk about that more in a second, okay? So I think, even if you're comfy, there's still way more that can be accomplished. Along with accomplishing more financial stuff should also come accomplishing more impact stuff. Those two typically go hand in hand. The more value you produce in the world, the more credit you get for it, like financial, economic credit, and so on and so forth, okay? All right, so we got good answers to that. Warm-up number 2, are you confident with sales, like selling, like getting on the phone and talking to prospects? How confident are you? How confident with sales are you on a scale of 1 to 10? So like you get on a call and you're like, I know exactly how this call is going to go. I know exactly what we're going to talk about. I know exactly what I'm going to say. I know what my selling points are. And I've got another follow-up question to that in just a second, but I need to know 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10, how confident are you with selling? Okay, getting on a call and actually selling. Let's get these answers rolling in. I know there's a little bit of a delay, but we got stuff to do, okay? Becoming more and more confident every day. 4, 5, I'm good at sales, but terrible at leads, okay? 3, 4, Some people say 10, 10. Now, in all fairness, there's a lot of people from the inner circle here who have probably done sales trainings in the inner circle, right? And so they're a lot more confident than they would have answered maybe 6 months ago or a year ago, right? But what I know is when I talk to people who get consulting and mentoring and all of that, sales is one of the biggest things that they struggle with. And this is natural. It's natural because you came into this game to be a web designer, not a salesman. You came into this game to be a marketer, not a salesman, right? So it's not really, it's a discipline you need, but it's not a discipline like you came after. Most of you, I think. So unless you have prior sales experience, which when we have to talk about authentic sales versus inauthentic sales, that's a thing too. But I mean, let's just be honest, right? Most people weren't like, I'm getting into web design so I can be a salesman, right? It's just not the thing. So people focus on their craft and they aren't that confident in sales. And so you'll see a lot of 2s and 4s and 6s and I'm not good at sales. I hate sales. The Hunzy says, look right here, I hate sales. Okay, I don't want you to hate sales. When we talk about process today, and I want this to keep coming back, and this should be mapped in your brain going forward every day of your life in this industry, in this business, process is everything. Process is everything, okay? We said that at the beginning. Process is everything. So when you understand process the way that we're going to outline it today, sales is going to become very, very easy for you. Sales is going to be, it's just going to become effortless because of what process does and what it means. And that's what we're about to unlock, okay? Last warm-up question. Can you clearly and confidently explain to a customer, not to a prospect, let's say, okay, to a prospect, why they should pick you versus somebody else? We know that we work in an industry with an untold amount of competition. Even if you get local competition, local businesses, there's a lot of web designers in your location typically, but they don't even have to choose those people. They can choose anybody in the world. Anybody in the world can be chosen. So when you get on a call, if the person asked you directly, okay, I kind of like some of what you're saying, why you? Why you, Mr. Web Designer, versus these other million people that I have at my disposal over here? Do you have an answer for that? Can you confidently answer that question? Let's say scale of 1 to 10. Go ahead and grade scale of 1 to 10. Can you confidently answer that question? I think that's a very, very important question, okay? And not answer it, just answer it, but answer it in a convincing fashion, in a way that they go, that's legit. That's legit. Okay. Because I know we can all answer it. We can all bumble, right? Our way through like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But can you actually say something of substance that clicks in their brain like, I got to choose this person now. Like this person has to be the one that I choose. And if you don't, after this, you will have an answer. In fact, they won't even ask that question, right? That nobody's really asked me that question on a sales call before. They could have, but they don't. And they don't because of a specific reason. Okay. A lot of people are saying 5 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 6 out of 10. There's some confident people. We got some 8s. We got some 10. We got some 10s. Okay. All right. We'll see how all of that aligns as we go through this. All right. I think we've warmed up enough. We've got a good amount of people here, which is fantastic. So I said earlier, don't be fooled by the topic of process. We're going to talk about this in a completely different fashion. And here's what you're going to get out of this masterclass. And this is the bullet points that I put in the description below. You're going to have the confidence to raise your prices practically overnight. And you're going to have a good reason to raise them. This is not just raise your prices because that's what you heard is good to do. And when what I think you're going to see when we do this talk is I have to raise my prices. I can't do this at those prices that I was charging before. That can't happen. This math doesn't math. All right. And so that's one of the conclusions that you're going to come to. You're just going to have to raise your prices. And again, this is like a rising tide lifts all ships, by the way. Okay, I raise my price, you raise your price, they raise their price. Hey, our industry is moving up. We are currently in an industry, this is why I always talk about standards and professionalism and quality of work and accessibility and everything that we talk about on this channel. Why? Because our industry is currently racing to the bottom. In a lot of ways, not in every way, but in a lot of ways, it is racing to the bottom. And we don't want that to happen as an industry. We want our industry to be respected, highly respected. And when an industry is highly respected, people will come in and pay good money for highly respected work. We do not want to race to the bottom. So raising prices is a good thing. Your revenue is going to go up if you implement what you are going to learn in this class. You're going to stop doing a lot of free work that you were previously doing, okay? You're going to start running a business instead of a hobby. You're going to run a business instead of a hobby. We're going to look at numbers in just a second. And I will say a lot of these revenue numbers on this, what was this? This is like a survey. On this survey, wasn't a survey I did. It's a survey by the admin bar, actually. He does Kyle does a survey, I think, every year. I don't know when he started doing it, but I looked at 2022. I looked at 2023. I looked at the results. We're going to look at some of these numbers. I got to tell you, some of these numbers, these revenue numbers, I'm not trying to insult anybody. These are hobby numbers, okay? You can't be running a hobby business and say that you're doing this full time. Okay. We've got to get out of the hobby business mode. We've got to get into a higher tier of business and work and results. Okay. And again, I'm not insulting anybody. We all start somewhere, right? And I guess this is a good time to say this. If you are comfortable with where you are at, I just did this warm-up question a minute ago, and a lot of people said they're not comfortable. If that's not you, if you're comfortable with where you're at and the money you're making, and especially if you're at these lower tiers, but you're happy with that, this talk may not be for you, right? Like this, I want for people what they want for themselves. So if you're like fine with the low number, then be fine with the low. That doesn't bother me at all if it doesn't bother you. If it bothers you that you're at a low number, that's why I'm here. That's why we're doing this class, because I want for you what you want for yourself. You want more. I want to help you get more. I want to see people succeed. I want to see people win, because I know what it's like to live in the bottom number and not want to be in the bottom number. And then I know what it's like to make it into the top numbers, right? The higher numbers. And it is life-changing. And I want that for anybody who wants it. And what I'm talking about in this class took years and years and years to figure out. It should be freaking obvious. It seems like when you hear it, you're like, damn, that's kind of obvious, right? Isn't it? Isn't it a little obvious? But why haven't I done that yet? Why haven't I positioned it this way? It's a mindset shift. You're not learning. I'll just tell you right now, disclaimer. There's no secret information in this class. There's no secret information in this class. It's just a shift that you have to make in your mindset as it relates to this word called process, okay? But you're going to start running a business instead of a hobby. That's a promise. Your sales calls are going to get way easier. You're going to have less friction on your sales calls. You're going to have less objections on your sales calls. How many times have I talked about not being a pixel pusher, being a consultant? How many times have I talked about that? This is going to get you there immediately. You're immediately going to be seen. There's no other way to see you other than as a consultant when you talk about process in the way that we're going to talk about it, okay? You're going to get fewer price objections. You're going to attract higher end clients. You're going to do better work at the end of the day. You're going to have a higher quality of work. You're going to get better results for clients. You're going to increase your margin. Okay, these are all the promises that I said would happen if you take action on today's class. So let's take a look at where the industry is currently at. And I just want to go check on the chat. I wanted you guys here live. I recorded this training, whatever you want to call it, this masterclass. I recorded it and I went through the whole thing. And then I was like, I got to do this live. This can't be a recording. This has to be live. I want to hear from people. I want to interact with people. I want them to, and then when we get to the part later on, we're going to do it together. We're going to do some of the work together. Okay, so be ready to type. Be ready to use your keyboard a little bit later on. I'm going to need your help, okay? All right, it looks like the chat is going good. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This is the WordPress Professionals Report from the adminbar.com. This is our 2023 survey. And this is just going to give us a little bit of a glimpse, perhaps, into the industry. Now, this was a public survey, I believe. Most of the people who responded are probably in the admin bar community. Kyle does a fantastic job over there, by the way. It's a great community. And, he did a great job with this report, not just putting the report together, but visualizing the report. This is very, very well done. It's not a tremendous amount of data, but it's enough. It's enough for us to get a glimpse on what's going on. And this is the first thing that I want to talk about right here, which is your capacity. And it says, do you run your agency full-time or as a side hustle? 77% said full-time. And yes, as Maddie says right here, because I'm keeping my eye on the chat. Drop the likes. You gotta, if you have liked what you've heard so far and you're excited about what's about to come, you gotta drop a like on the stream. 77% of you say that you are full-time. You've got to keep this number in the back of your mind as we talk about everything else, okay? Because if you're just side hustling, if you're just hobby mode, again, hey, whatever you can do, right? You might be in the low numbers. You don't have full-time energy to put into this. You're just happy with making some money on the side. This is not for you. This talk is not for you. This talk is for the 77%. Now, I don't know how this question was asked either, okay? This question, maybe people are saying side hustle, but I want to be full-time, but they didn't answer full-time because they're not full-time. But does this speak to aspirations? I don't know. So there could be a lot of people in this group who are like, I want to be in that group, but I just can't get there, right? I got to have my 9 to 5 because I don't know how to put the pieces together to get from side hustle to full-time. Okay, so let's keep that with a grain of salt. Maybe this is over 80%, but just keep this number in the back of your mind, okay? Now we're going to go through here. We got 33.38%. The biggest group, the biggest cohort of people who answered were in the 1 to 5 year range, but then we got a big, decent chunk in 6 to 10 years. And then we got another decent chunk in 11 to 15 years. Okay, there's some people with some time spent in this industry. Map these numbers, these chunks right here, back to this number right here. And then we're going to come down here. I don't even care about team size right now. I don't care about what we think about WordPress. I don't care about your agency's trajectory. I do care about this right here. Map those numbers that we just talked about to these average prices right here. Thankfully, now this means that compared to last year, this percentage has gone up a little bit. 10.8% is still relatively low in the $100 to $999 price point for web design. I'm glad to see that that's fairly low. That's good for all of us. That's good for all of us. I'll tell you right now, if you're in this category, you're fucking done, Jack. AI already got you, my man. You are done. You are donezo. You've got to get out of this bottom tier immediately. Immediately. AI you're gone. You're gone. You're not even an option anymore. Okay? I can guarantee it. So just know that. I'm just giving you facts. Okay? Now let's talk about this $1,000 to $2,500 range. 23% of people are in here. 31% of people are in the next tier, $2,500 to $5,000. Now, let me pause for a minute here. And again, anything that might come out of my mouth is not an intended insult. It's just facts as I know them to be, based on my past experience, based on what I know now, okay? And I used to be in this group. I was once in that group, just so everybody is on the same page. I then migrated into this group right here. And I was in this group for a while, a good while, okay? And I will tell you, life sucked in this group. And I'll also tell you, life sucked in this group. And then I migrated into this group for a while. And I was like, oh, these things are getting a little better around here. You pay some more bills. You put a little bit more food on the table and so on and so forth. Depends on volume, obviously, but volume and price, oh man, that's a whole nother discussion. We're not even gonna get into all that. But what I will say is, this isn't even, these 3 tiers, look, I mean, that's more than 50%. That's more than half, right? Then you get a chunk right here that's in the 5,000 to 999 group. And look at the drop off. Look at the absolute, this is a cliff. It is an absolute cliff beyond these first 4, okay? My project minimum, just minimum, is in this group right here. That's a 1-page website. That's just minimum. I'm not even touching it if it's under that, okay? But think back, right? When I was in this group, and this is what you have to understand. When I was in this group, I couldn't even fucking fathom doing a website in this group. Like, it just didn't compute. It didn't make any sense. I was like, I don't know. I don't see how I would ever get there, right? Well, things change. Things change. Now, it takes too many years for things to change in a lot of cases. That's why we're doing this masterclass. Like, I want things for you to change like a tad bit quicker than they changed for me. Because again, if you want to be in the higher tiers, that's what I want to help you get to. And I'm going to show you the pathway to doing that. And it's going to start with exactly what we're going to talk about today. But this is the minimum now. This is the minimum. A lot of projects are in here. A lot of projects are in here. I've had many projects over this. Now, these are not this is probably not the average. Now, if you maybe add up everything that we do, not just the website, that's the other thing, how much are we going to bring into like SEO, PPC, whatever. But this is where you should be living. Like, I want y'all all living here if we can get you there. And I think we can get many of you there. Now, people are going to have their objections in a minute, and I'll answer the objections in the chat. Oh, I live in this little city and nobody wants to. Okay, I get it. We're going to talk about that though, because thankfully we had this thing. I don't know if you guys have heard of it yet. It's not AI. It's not AI lives there. You may have heard of it. It's called the fucking internet. Okay, we have like the entire globe that you can actually get clients on. And so you don't have to worry about your little town that you happen to live in that's not great for your economic benefit, okay? We'll talk about that. Don't worry, we're going to get there. Let's look at this. 2022 revenue. Again, map this back to this block right here, okay? 77% full-time. And I alluded to this earlier, all right? Look at this chunk. Look at that, 40% are in here, $0 to $50,000 a year. 50 to 100,000 is the next biggest chunk, and it's a freaking cliff after that, an absolute cliff. And that brings me to the question, like, is this what we want? Number one, for you, is this what you want for you? Is this what you want for yourself? Do you want to live in these tiers right now? And again, I'm not... the intention is not to insult anybody. It's kind of to wake you up a little bit and to help you think bigger. This is all hobby money. All of this is hobby money. This is not business money, okay? Like, look at legit businesses anywhere around you, all right? They're all doing more than this. Now, they may have bigger expenses. They may have lower margins than you. They may have a lot, but just from a revenue standpoint, this is hobby. This is just facts. This is hobby money, okay? We've got to break in to these higher tiers here. You've got to. For yourself, for your family, for your future, you have to break into these higher tiers. With AI coming, with inflation coming, with everything else that's coming, you've got to break into these higher tiers. We've got to get you there, okay? And again, if you are in the side hustle group, hey, do you, okay? I'm talking to the people who consider themselves to be full-time and who told me a minute ago, I'm not where I want to be. Okay, well, this is just the wake-up call. This is just the wake-up call. We've got to get out of hobby. We've got to get into business, okay? You can't be happy with this. You can't be satisfied with this. This is the start. You're at the start, okay? And we got to get you to the next tiers. All right, so we don't have to worry about profit margins. I don't think anything else really matters all that much. This number's a little low right here, this $96 average hourly rate. I think that's it. That's all we need to talk about. Okay? All right, so now we need to get into the actual meat of this, okay? We talked about where the industry is currently at. I've got my notes over here. We could talk quickly about what clients are looking for and key concepts of this talk just so that we're on the same page, and then we're going right into the meat, okay? So what are clients looking for? They're obviously looking for expertise. They don't want to hire somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. So they're looking for expertise. They're looking for value and results. At the end of the day, what do they want to do? They want to grow their own business, okay? Which, by the way, they should ask themselves, how are you going to grow mine if you can't grow yours, right? That's kind of a legitimate question. But they want value. They want results. They want uniqueness, okay? And unique by itself does not have any value. But when I say they're looking for uniqueness, what I'm saying is they're looking for people who are saying something a little bit different, something a little bit more important. They're looking for somebody who's like, nah, the whole industry kind of does it like this. We do it differently. And here's why we do it differently, okay? Just keep that in the back of your mind. They're looking for trust. Can I trust this person? And when you communicate the way that we're going to outline in this talk, you're going to build immediate trust. Like I said, they're going to go from like, should I hire this person to this is the person I need to hire. It's got to be this person. And this is why, by the way, when you want to break into the higher tiers, when you want to price higher, here's one thing that you're going to find. Here's a challenge you're going to run into. When somebody's buying budget agency services, they don't really shop around all that much. They're just like, okay, you sound good. You sound like you can do it for $850, right? $1,000, $1,250, whatever. Let's go ahead and give you a shot, right? But when you're like, it's going to be $20,000, they're like, oh, well, let me see what my other options are, right? In fact, a lot of the bigger clients, they have to. And it's not even the owner of the company who is getting the quotes, right? It's some marketing director, some middle manager, Bev. Bev is collecting the quotes, right? And it's not Bev's money, and Bev doesn't care. She's just checking a box like, they told me I have to get 3 bids. You'll hear that all the time. We have to get 3 bids. It's like a corporate thing. It's like the board of directors was like, we're not spending money on a project that we haven't gotten multiple bids for. I mean, this is how it works in the real world. So if you're going to be competing for those projects, you've got to be in a situation where they look at something, whether it's the sales call or the proposal, and they come to the conclusion, it's got to be this one. This is not like the others. It's got to be this one. And we know why it's going to be this one. And that's exactly what this is going to do for you here, okay? All right, key concepts, just so we're all on the same page with regard to why all of this matters. And this is just business and marketing. This is pure business and marketing 101. Price maps directly to value, right? A low value product is going to have a low price point. A high value product is going to have a high price point, right? You can get a Pinto or you can get a Lexus, right? We know how this works intrinsically, okay? So that's number one. Now, process, that's the key word of the day because I said process is everything. Process clearly communicates value. And let me go back to the buckets that I said that there were earlier. You either have no process, that's bucket 1. You either have a bad process or a shoddy process or a mediocre process or a boring process. Or there's a lot of those. That's bucket number 2. Bucket number 3 is you have a legit process, but for some reason you don't want to tell anybody about it. And when you're given the opportunity, you just never seem to talk about it. That's a big problem too. If that's you, then again, this is going to be a wake-up call. This is going to help you connect those dots. Okay, communicating your process creates, and this is if you have a good process, communicating it is the creation of a value stack. If you've ever heard the term value stack in marketing, it's laying out piece by piece the value that is within your, and it could be features and value that are within what you are selling that basically creates this concept of an offer. Everybody's confused about the word offer as well. We hear offer. What's the offer? Go ask a local business what the offer is, and they go, oh, it's this coupon right here. I put in the mailer. They get 30% off. That's the offer. That's not the offer. That's not what they're offering, okay? The value stack that we're about to go through, that's what we're actually offering. The discount, the call to action button text, none of that shit is an offer, okay? You're going to learn how to make an actual offer with your business today. Not your hobby, with your business today. Okay, and then last key concept, because we got to say it again. Process is everything. Price, sales, marketing, workflow, quality, expertise, referrals. List goes on and on and on and on and on. It is all going to come from process. That is why after this video, there is no more important action step than doing exactly what you're supposed to do after this video that you can possibly do in your business. You cannot spend more valuable time on anything else than what you should be doing after this video. So let's get into this. I'm going to open Figma. Okay? All right, here we go. As we get into this, let's just double check the chat. Are we all on the same page? Are we good so far? Are we excited for what is to come? All right. We got a lot of people saying golden nuggets, golden nuggets, golden nuggets. We haven't even got to the golden nuggets yet. Okay. The golden nuggets are to come. And again, I want to preface this by saying nothing I'm about to share with you is secret. Okay? Nothing is secret. It just puts the pieces together in a specific way to help some things click around, and then you go, oh, okay, got it. Okay, and then you're empowered to move forward into the higher tiers. All right, a lot of people saying, I'm just reading the chat. It's flying by. Yes. But miss some of that. Do you have these concepts on a slide? Maybe. I was thinking about, I've done some talks with slides. I've done some talks with no slides. I'm still at I want to figure out the best way to communicate this stage. I think we're getting there. And then maybe I put it in a slide format for a different kind of presentation. We'll see. Okay. All right. Everybody's saying yes. Travis is still stuck on the internet part. Okay. All right. Now I'm not cliffhanging it on purpose. I promise. All right. Let's get right into it. Just so everybody understands. Can you guys see Figma? You should be able to see Figma at this point. Okay. I got to get the bar out of the way. All right. Because we're going to walk through this together. What we're going to talk about right now is, I don't know if there's any guesses. You can't possibly guess what we're about to talk about right now. You can't possibly guess. We're going to talk about pizza, okay? And we're going to talk about this pizza shop that is a budget pizza shop, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the process of this budget pizza shop. And then we're going to talk about maybe a different pizza shop. And then maybe a different pizza shop. And then we're going to talk about web design shops and agencies and freelancers. And then we're going to see a very clear distinction. And we're going to see a very clear pattern. And we're going to see how this maps out, okay? All right. So Jason says, I can guess what we're going to talk about right now is process. I love it. He's been paying attention. Okay. So I'm going to put this in here. Remember, right? This is not SOPs. This is not boring nonsense. Okay. So we're going to go step number 1. So step number 1, can I make this a different color? Let's get this out because I want to be able to just copy and paste this. Okay, that'll look good right there. All right, we're just going to say that this is step number 1. We're going to make some text large so y'all can actually read it. Maybe medium. Medium will work. Okay, let's get these bullet points going right here. All right, so if you have a budget pizza shop, right? Like just think lowest possible level, maybe like hobby pizza shop, okay? Not serious, they're just winging it, right? What are they doing is like step number 1. And I'll just answer for you, okay? They're doing stuff like this. Okay, grab the frozen pizza out of the freezer. Okay, that's like step number 1. We're going to bring this in right here. All right, and then, what else? Take it out of the box. Take it out of the box. All right, let's do that. Now, that's step number 1. That's their preparation. Okay, so we're going to duplicate this. Step number 2. Perfect. What are they doing now? All right, well, let's throw the pizza in the oven. All right. Oh, maybe, hold on. Preheat the oven. I don't know. Preheat the oven. Okay, throw the pizza in the oven. This is their process. All right, let's go through this. Let's open this up. Let's get a little duplication. We got one final step. Remember, this is so easy, right? Okay, now we're going to serve the pizza. There you go. Now, you may see where this is going. I hope you just see automatically where this is going, but we're still gonna flesh all of this out, okay? Because it is very, very helpful, and I want to help you do your homework for you. All right, so pizza budget shop. Guys, how much in the realm of pizza pricing and the realm of pizza value, how much are you gonna value this pizza right here that they're about to serve you? How much are you gonna pay for this pizza that they're about to serve you? And I know pizza's not expensive. There's no like $1,000 pizzas, at least I don't think, right? But I think you guys are going to get the point, all right? So this is the budget pizza shop right here. Now I'm going to do a little duplication. And this is going to be the local pizza shop. Got a little local pizza shop. All right, so step number 1 for them is going to be like, prep the ingredients. All right, ingredients like that. And then they're going to do, but it's just standard ingredients, right? We'll just say standard ingredient. Standard ingredients, okay? It's like, canned sauce and stuff like this and just, You gotta have a little mozzarella cheese, you know what I'm saying, right? But it's not any like special kind of cheese. It's just whatever they got at the grocery store that day. All right, then they're gonna they're actually gonna roll out the dough. Okay, they're gonna roll out the dough. They're gonna put the toppings on. Okay, you gotta do the toppings on your pizza. Then they're gonna throw it in the oven. All right, throw it, and maybe we'll give them, because this is a little extra step right here. We're gonna give them a third step of cook in the oven, right? And then they get the fourth step of actually serve it to the person. So we're going to duplicate this. We're going to go step 4. They're going to serve it, all right? Serve the pizza. All right. Now, we can ask ourselves, hey, this process right here, we're talking process, guys. This process right here is, I think, objectively better than this process right here. Got it? Now, the question is, again, is this impressing anybody? Is this, how many local pizza shops can just open up next to this pizza shop and be like, I do all those things too. Here I am, right? And then people are coming in and they're trying to decide like, oh, I want that pizza shop. I want this pizza shop. Ah, hell, they're all the same. Just go ahead and choose one. Well, they know they definitely don't want this pizza shop. They don't want no frozen pizza that got thrown into an oven and served for $4.99. They don't want that kind of pizza. Right? And if they do want that kind of pizza and you're a legit pizza shop, you don't want to serve that kind of pizza. They're not for you. That's not for me. Okay, go to that shop down the street. They got frozen pizza all day. We don't have frozen pizza here, Jack. Right? So that's the kind of attitude that you want to cultivate. Right here, local pizza shop. This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a hobby shop to me. This is not a serious pizza shop. Well, what are they doing here? This is not serious pizza making. Okay. All right. So let's open up a third shop here. So we're going to go pizza. Oh, we're going to say legit. This is legit. This is legit pizza. Now, I don't even know how to make legit pizza. Let me open up my notes over here, because I was doing some research earlier and I was like, you know what does a legit pizza shop look like? Well, if a pizza shop was legit, what kind of stuff would they do? All right. So I don't even know what steps to put these in. But what I did come across is there's some really important things that happen in a legit pizza shop that don't happen in other kinds of pizza shops, okay? And so here's some things right here. They use Italian 00 or 0 wheat flour, right? This is just like this is very specific. This is step 1. They're in the prep phase right here. They use fresh brewer's yeast, and there was a comment that said no dry yeast. And we're going to come back to this in a second. None of that, okay? We do something very, very specific. All right, now let's keep going with this. So they hand make the dough daily. Daily, they hand make the dough. What else do? They roll the dough by hand. And then there was comments that said, never use a rolling pin. Never, ever, ever catch us dead using a rolling pin. I go down here. Okay, I'm going to expand this out. As you see, our value, it's getting a little thicker, okay? Now, I'm going to come down here, and it says air twirling to oxygenate the dough. Seems to be an important step, I've heard. Then we did, they said hand crushed. This is so specific. Marzano DOC certified tomatoes. And then they had a comment here that said, never pre-cooked and never with added oil. Okay? All right, let's keep going down here. Now they said you got to get the right mozzarella. It's mozzarella, and let me try to say this in Italian. 1 second. Mozzarella di bufala. Andrea, I'm sorry, my man. He has got his head in his hands right now. He is embarrassed for the entire team right now. It's okay. Cheese, mozzarella cheese. And it comes from the milk of buffalo in the Campania region of Italy. Okay? And I'm telling you guys, people who know their pizza, this is some very specific stuff. And you see there's an actual rating, like a certification. Your pizza can be DOC certified or cannot be DOC certified. That seems to be an important point in the research that I did, okay? Then we come down here and it says, inspect the dough to make sure it's no more than 3 millimeters thick. Very important point for cooking quality. And then it's bake in a special wood-burning oven for a crisp and smoky crust. Okay. Now I don't know. I just put all these in one column right here. We got to actually, spread these out on steps. I think you guys are getting the point. You're going to understand it, right? So spread these out across however many steps that happens to be. And now we just have to ask ourselves some questions. Okay. Number one, why is this process the way that it is? Why? Because people start out maybe doing this kind of shit. And then they maybe graduate to doing this kind of shit. But at some point, they have so much education, they have so much expertise, they have so many hours and so much practice that they have figured out, no. That's not the way. That's not the way to make legit pizza. This is the way to make legit pizza. And they've got their own process, their own magic, their own recipe, their own everything, okay? That's why the process is the way that it is. And that's what it took to arrive at that process. And if you say, why Italian 0-0 or zero wheat flour? Why fresh brewer's yeast? Why do you hand make the dough daily? Why do you roll the dough? Why do you never use a rolling pin? I wanna know why. You know what? They have an answer. They have a good answer for every single one of those questions. And then if people are questioning like, well, why don't you just, get some standard dough and some standard sauce and some standard cheese? Why? Well, there's really good reasons to not do that if you care about your pizza and you care about the results and you care about the quality and you have pride in your work and you on and on and on and on. Understand? Okay. Now, what questions does this automatically answer? When you are explaining, here's our process. Like, we understand these people make their pizza this way. Listen for a second to how we make our pizza. Okay, what does this automatically answer related to price? What do you think you're going to pay for this one right here, budget pizza, versus this one right here? What would you even be comfortable paying a low amount for this kind of care and this kind of pizza right here? You wouldn't even think that they're going to give you a low price, right? What questions does it automatically answer related to the value that you're going to get? Like, can you imagine? You could probably imagine, this is probably going to be some shitty ass pizza, right? You probably imagine that. That's probably what you're expecting, okay? Let's go down to legit pizza. You're probably expecting a really good outcome. You're like, I know, I'm going to pay for it because this is going to be amazing. This experience is going to be top notch. I want to test the best pizza in the world. That's what I want to taste. And I'm not saying you have to be the best web designer in the world to have the best. That's not the point. Okay. Just digest. Okay. What questions does this automatically answer related to expertise? Remember what I said a minute ago. Clients want to know they're hiring as somebody who knows what the hell they're doing. Okay. If you outline this process, which we're going to do in a sec, oh my God, they already know. I don't know. This person doesn't seem like they know what they're doing that much. Now, if they can only afford $500, they're probably still going to choose that person, but that's not the kind of person you want to go after, right? We need to be here. We need to be having a process that when we outline our process, they know instantly, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy does shit for a reason. This guy probably can get results because he's been doing it, obviously, for a very long time. He knows what mistakes not to make. He knows not to use dry yeast. He knows not to use a rolling pin. He knows that it needs to be 3 millimeters thick. He knows all these things. So, of course, he's going to make something great for me. That I know that, 100%, okay? All right, what questions does this automatically answer related to the experience someone is likely to have? We just talked about that. Doesn't this automatically create a juxtaposition between a business A, and every other business out there? It's an automatic juxtaposition. All you have to do is have a good process for a reason and communicate it. And instantly, unless your process is like everybody else's, then it's bad, right? Unless your process doesn't mean anything, you have no reasons behind it. I don't know. This is why I wrote down. This is why I decided. I thought that sounded good, right? Those kind of processes don't do this. But a legit process, right? Legit, you guys can read it and be like, that sounds legit. okay? So a legit process automatically creates the juxtaposition between your business and everybody else's business. And that's what, when I get on sales calls with people, lots of times I hear the exact same thing over and over and over again. We've talked to 5 people. We've talked to 7 people. We've talked to 10 people. We've gotten 5 bids. We've got da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Nobody has talked about any of these things. Nobody has said any of this. I hear that all the time. And it makes the choice, like I said in the beginning, they come to the conclusion, we have to choose this person because these other people didn't even talk about this other stuff, right? So this goes back to like no dry yeast. Let's say I don't know anything about pizza and you're like, oh, well, here's what we do. We prep the ingredients, canned sauce, mozzarella cheese, whatever. We roll out the dough. We put on the toppings. We cook it in the oven. We serve the pizza. It's going to be decent, right? You don't know what is a possibility beyond that. So as a prospect, you're like, well, that fucking sounds like pizza, I guess. All right. Okay. You're sure you can make that pizza? It's going to be good, right? It's at least going to be hot. Okay. All right. We'll go with it. Now that's like the 5 bids that they get. Okay. Then they get a bid that's like this. Then they get a bid with a whole, no dry yeast. No, never use a rolling pin. I'm pretty sure that other guy was using a rolling pin. Air twirling to oxygenate I didn't even know that. Whoa, there's DOC certified tomato. I didn't even know that. Never pre-cooked, never added oil. Okay, mozzarella. Damn, there's buffalo and companion mixed cheese. It's like the best cheese in the world. What? They're just your process is like real time educating them on all this shit they didn't even know. They didn't know any of this before they picked up the phone and called you. And simply by outlining your process, they were just thinking, hey, web design, beautiful website. Anybody can do it. Is there a designer around? Okay, they get on the phone with all these people. Yeah, we can do the design for you and make it beautiful. We're going to talk about those processes in just a second. Then they get on a call with you and it goes a little bit differently. And suddenly they're looking around like, those other options don't sound so good anymore. I think we found our option, right? That's the conclusion that people are going to come to. Okay, so let's get out of pizza making mode. We're going to do our homework now. Is this clicking? Is it clicking? Okay. I need to know. Let's see. And I know there's going to be some objections. We will handle all objections. Don't worry. And what I want you to do, like we do on our WDD lives, okay? You typically put question in all caps. Go ahead and put objection in all caps. That way I can easily find the objection. Don't do it yet. We're not done. Don't do it yet, okay? All right. Let's go up. Okay. Everybody's looking good. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Yeah. So this is a really good point. It actually makes me nervous about the price of the pizza, but I know it will taste amazing. And that's what's fantastic, right? Because there are other techniques involved here. And I teach these in the inner circle in sales, okay, with price bracketing and things like that, where you can mold your process to the client's or the buyer's needs and expectations. And so they don't have to buy the $50,000 website. They don't have to buy the $20,000 website, okay? It can all be molded to what their comfort level is. Now, you're also going to elevate their comfort level, but it can all be molded to their comfort level as well. And this just makes, again, all friction goes away because they're getting all the things that they know that they want, different from what these other offerings are. And now suddenly the work is at a price they're ultimately comfortable with, right? So where else would the friction be? We can connect those dots in a minute. All right, let's do our homework. I think we're good to go. So click. Everybody's saying click. Okay. All right. Good. Everybody's clicking. All right. Yeah. All right. Let's do it. All right. So let's open this up. New section. Okay. This is going to be web design. Actually, yeah, that's fine. We'll do web design company number 1. Okay. And they're going to have a we're going to kind of just map this out. But now we're no longer talking about pizza. We have to bring it into our industry. And we have to really understand the practicality of this and what it looks like when it's put out in actual terms that we understand. Let me do, that's light red. Let's do green, whatever. Actually, no, green. That's green for good. This is not good. All right, so let's go. Text here. We're going to be, why is my medium text not so medium anymore? All right, we'll do extra large now. Oh, is it because I'm zoomed? I was zoomed way out. Okay, we don't want to do that. Let's zoom in. There we go. And let's just do large. All right, perfect. So we've got step number 1 right here. Now, step number 1 in a typical web design company 1, and I am not making this up. There is a content creator. I don't know how many followers he has, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And I've been watching him for years and years and years and years. And he runs an agency in Canada. Okay, and I'm not going to give any more details. I think they're in Canada. I don't even know. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. I'm not calling him out. I don't care. I honestly don't care. I'm just saying this is what they advocate. Like, this is what they say their process is. Okay, so the client comes along and signs on the dotted line. It's all like pre-priced and all of that. And so step number 1 is pick a theme from Theme Forest. By the way, this is probably a process that maybe you followed at one point in your journey, in your career. I will just say right now, I did this before. I have done this way long ago. This is pretty much where I started. It's like where a lot of people started, especially since there weren't fancy page builders and all of that. And it's like, do I really want to custom code a whole theme? And I don't even know how to do that at the price I know how to sell at. And I'm just going to, let's just customize some Theme Forest theme for people. That's ultimately what it seems like they want to do, right? All these excuses. And now here we are, picking a theme from Theme Forest. So step number 1, pick a theme from Theme Forest. Step number 2 is we'll change the colors, all right? Got to match your brand colors, obviously. You know, we'll change out the logo and stuff, and then we'll put in the content that you provide us. We'll say provide us, okay? So we'll change the colors. We'll put in the content that you provide us. What would step number 3 be? Let's go duplicate that. Let's do step number 3. And I'm going to need your help in just a minute, okay? All right, so step number 3, I guess, would be like maybe punch list, all right, and launch, something like that. And then there really wouldn't be a step 4. I think after this, what most people do in this situation is client handoff, right? So they just hand off the site to the client by, here's what you asked for, Mr. Client. It's all done and ready to go. Go ahead and, if you need to make any adjustments, whatever, just go in. It is what it is, right? We chose a theme. You're good to go. All right, that's web design company number 1. Now, please be honest. Please be honest with me right now. Have you ever done this? It's okay if you have. I said I have. I've done this before. Have you ever done this? Has this ever been the thing that you did? Now, maybe if you came in very recently, maybe not so much. Maybe if you've been around for a while, high likelihood, I would guess, that you've done this. More recently, maybe not, because Theme Forest isn't so relevant anymore. But drop in the comment. I mean, a lot of you are probably afraid to drop in the comments and be like, yeah, I did that. But that's why I'm saying, I've done that too. So I just want to know, and I know there's a delay, so I'm going to keep moving on. Okay, so I'm going to do duplicate. We've got to talk about web design company number 2. I'm going to bring them down here. All right, so this is web design company number 2. So John says, long ago. Daniel, yes, I did. I was doing this a decade ago. Exactly. Okay, well, to enlighten everybody, there's still a lot of people doing this today. A lot of people. And a lot of people advocating for doing this today as well. Okay. Web design company number 2. This is the average web design company. Now, maybe not the average web design company of people that watch this channel, but I think if we look at the entire industry of like everybody and their mom is a web designer, this is probably falling in line more towards the average, okay? So instead of step number 1 being pick a theme from Theme Forest, I see things like this, okay? Tell us about your company's goals. It would be like this, right? Tell us about your company's goals and objectives. Why do they do this in step number 1? Because they're like, well, we kind of need to know something about this company to kind of do some legitimate work, I guess. So, they're asking the company about their goals and objectives. And then they're saying, send us 3 to 4 examples of sites that you like. Like maybe that you and Bev could get together and just talk about what you like, and you could send that over to us. And then, we'll just move on to step 2 here. And step 2 is, like pop open Divi. So like in a page builder, all right, we'll build a site that, kind of mimics, the examples you gave. All right, because we want it to look the way that you said you like. All right, so we're gonna make that happen. And we're gonna customize it, okay? Like, who would buy a theme from Theme Forest, right? So we're gonna customize that for you, obviously, Mr. Client. We're gonna put in the content for you. All right, so we're gonna add the content. We'll add the content that you give us. All right, and then in step number 3, we are doing a punch list and we're doing a launch. And then maybe we've learned, probably not a great idea to just hand that off to the client. We could build some recurring revenue if we added a step number 4, which is like manage the site for them, okay? So, or like website hosting and like a, little website management, all right? Okay, that's kind of the end of the road for that. And within this page builder concept, maybe you're not buying a theme from Theme Forest, but maybe you're using pre-done templates, right? Maybe you're Divi layout packs and such, and you're going into Breakdance because they've got all these great pre-made elements and yada yada yada, and this is kind of the area that you're in right here. Any of that, this is average, okay? And again, I think this is just what a tremendous amount of agencies and freelancers are doing, okay? All right, now, before we get to number 3, before we get to the third and final example, let's talk about web design company number 1. I mean, how much can you legitimately charge for this? This is your process. You just told us, and I said literally, content creators and agencies are saying that's their process. Like it's not even like an attempt to hide it. It's like, this is our process. This is what we do. How much can you legitimately charge for this? How many people in this planet can also do this? How much expertise do you really need to do this kind of thing? How in danger are you of AI coming in and replacing your job and your business if this is your process right here? And you know how many people, this is why I said don't object yet, because some of the objections are gonna get squashed right now. There are it's person after person after person after person. People won't pay more than $500 for a website, Kevin. People won't pay more than $1,500 for a website, Kevin. People won't pay more than $2,500. I'm so over it. It's so exhausting because all I have to say is, show me your process. Just show me what's your process? Just show me your process. Like, is it outlined somewhere? Can I see it? And then I see something that resembles this or this. And it's like, yes, they won't pay for frozen fucking pizza. They won't pay a lot. They'll pay a little tiny bit. They won't pay a lot for frozen pizza. You're serving them frozen pizza. And you're telling them they're going to get frozen pizza. Guys, I've given, we can do sales calls and like, let's get on a Zoom and like, it's kind of uncomfortable when you're sitting in like a boardroom with like 8 executives staring you in the face going, so what are you going to do for us again? You better not fucking say this. They will laugh you out of the room. This is not, that's why I said this is hobby. This is not a business. A real business doesn't look like this. If you look at a person's process, you either uncover, oh, this looks like a real business. This looks like a legitimate process. Or it just tells you clearly, well, this is not a person that really knows what they're doing. And so of course you're not going to make any money if this is your process. And this is what you're selling is your process. The math doesn't math. It'll never compute. People who have any inkling of business sense, I would even go as far as to say, a legitimate business wouldn't hire a business that has this as their process. This is just a business that's not very business minded. They're just not going to be going very far, very fast, very soon. because they just wouldn't hire somebody that says, this is my process. Now, the waters start to get a little murkier here, because in web design company number 2, you start throwing around words like custom or customize and fit it to your needs and da-da-da-da-da. But anybody who really knows can look at the process and be like, they're not doing half the shit they should be doing, right? And then when, the prospect talks to multiple agencies and they all kind of say this, like, number 2, this is our process. This is kind of like industry standard, right? Or it's what you're going to get in most places. But then they talk to company number 3. This is where it just becomes crystal clear to them. Oh, I have to choose number 3. Even if it costs way more, I have to choose number 3, because you know what this becomes at that point? Let's say that this is priced out. Let's put this price right here. So we're going to scribble this huge, right? It's not even that huge. $2,500. I don't know, hell, go $3,500. Okay, go $4,500. Well, I mean, whatever. Put a number on this. This is business number 2, okay? Would I rather spend, let's bring this price down here. And let's just make this price $15,000. And we're just gonna keep it, it's not insane. This is not craziness. Just say $15,000. Weigh your options, Mr. Prospect. $4,500 or $15,000. Now, some of you are like, well, of course they're going to choose the $4,500. No, if that's what you think, then you're not around enough people with actual money, okay? That's not how people with money think. People with money, people with not so much money, that's what they think. People with no money, that's what they think. People with money go, no, I don't want to spend $4,500 on this, especially if I've had a conversation with this guy down here, which we're about to talk about, because this $4,500 is very likely to be lit on fire on an agency that doesn't finish the project, on an agency that doesn't really know what they're doing, but just kind of talked okay on the sales call, on an industry that doesn't have enough resources, on an industry that doesn't have enough people, on an agency that doesn't have enough people, resources, expertise, whatever. High likelihood when you deal with middle of the road companies, you get middle of the road results, and people with money, people with business sense, they know that. And they're like, we don't want middle of the road results, and we don't want middle of the road work. And so when this is the option, immediately go to this as the option. They immediately choose this one. So we need to talk also about elevating the quality of clients that you're getting. This is why the price that you put out directly relates to the quality of client that you happen to attract. And then if you do that too much, you actually fool yourself into believing that that's just how the world is. That's just the economy. That's just my area. No, it's none of that shit. It's your terrible process. And that tiny little price that you threw out, you're attracting the wrong people. You're attracting the people who will pay this, which is not legitimate businesses, people that are broke and people that don't know what they're doing. That's who you're going to be attracting. And again, the intention is not to insult anybody. This is just facts, okay? Now, let's move on to number 3. I'm going to duplicate this. Let's bring this down. Now we work together. This is the collaborative part. Okay, Peacock says, I owe you a steak and a beer when I land a $15,000 client. There's actually, I don't know if you're in the inner circle, because I can't see your real name. I can only see Peacock Design. But there's plenty of people in the inner circle who have already done that and gone. They were only doing $5,000 sites before. Now they're doing $15,000 sites. There's people who are only doing $1,000 sites before. Now they're doing $7,500 sites. When you make this shift, it's donezo. It's a wrap, okay? It's almost guaranteed. Okay, if you put a couple other pieces together, but it's still, you could get very, very far with just shifting this. Can get you very, very far. All right, so we're going to work on this together. All right, so step number 1, let's clear all this out, okay? Okay, ready. These are ready for action items, all right? We are going to build our value stack together. This is the homework that you need to do. Please do not, you're going to do this with me. Don't just copy and paste this. Everybody can have their own process. This is not a meeting to be like, hey, You should all use Kevin's process. That's not what this is. Everybody, like pizza company, legit pizza company A, there can be a legit pizza company B and a legit pizza company C and a legit pizza company D, and they all have a little bit different process. They have a different way of doing things based on their experience, their unique flair, their whatever, their personality, and that's totally awesome. That's exactly how the market should be. Many legit options to choose from. There isn't just one legit option. There's many legit options to choose from. Now, the likelihood is when a prospect is looking around, they're going to find a shitload of mediocre options and you. And you, compared to all the mediocre options, you're going to win every single time. It's easy. It's shooting fish in a barrel, okay? Now, sometimes they come along you, and then they come along across another agency that actually is legit. And now it's an actual competition. Now it's like, okay, now we got to have extra conversations. This is where you're going to have sales calls 3 and 4 and 5 maybe sometimes. You got to have a better proposal. You got to have a better offer. You got to be willing to dynamically shift some things around, okay, to win those kind of things. But that's also kind of rare. It's kind of rare because the reason this is the average, and by the way, we got to switch this away from average. Okay, this is legit. This is number 3. All right. The reason this is the average is because this is just what most people do. And so it's a numbers game. They're going to come across a lot of average people, and then they're going to come across you, and you win. So that leads to you winning, if you can't do the math, way more often than you're probably winning right now, at a much higher price point than you're currently getting right now. That's the conclusion. Okay. So let's do step number 1, and let's actually name these steps. And this is kind of a test, though, for people who have been watching this channel for any length of time, for people who have done maybe some inner circle trainings. What is going to be step number 1 in our process? There is a word for it. It is a single word. What is the word? Drop in the chat and let me know. Tech2 says, will this be available on YouTube later as I'm not able to watch the rest of it right now? Yes, it will absolutely be available. I will leave this up. Okay. Yes. Okay. So Jason was the first to respond, and he responded with the correct answer. A bunch of other people just came in with the correct answer as well. Step number 1 is discovery. Now, discovery is not, hey, Mr. Businessman, what are your goals? What are your objectives? It's much more than that. And now I want you to think as we outline this, just pretend you're a prospect. Just pretend that you are a prospect and you're trying to decide between a web design agency, and we're just going to lead you through some things. Okay. So in discovery, we're going to do things like we are going to research the client's company, see what they've done in the past. What have they done good? What have they done bad? What have they done on social media lately? What's their current website look like? We're going to do a lot of stuff looking for holes and gaps and challenges and things like that. We're probably going to research the market that the industry that the client works in, I would imagine. We want to know and why, right? Here we go with the deliverable. It's like, why are you researching the market? Well, I mean, you're asking me to build you a marketing tool. And so in order for me to really do that, I need to know how your customers think and feel. And I need to know what they expect. I need to know them a little bit better than I know them now. And so we have to do some market research and we have to figure that kind of stuff out, right? And so that makes perfect sense. It's like, oh yeah, I guess you can't do your job if you don't know who my market is and what they want and what they desire. Now, your client, sometimes clients think they know, but the client really hasn't done any research. They're just based off their experiences and all of this other stuff. To do our job properly, we have to do our own research. You can't just take the client's word for everything. This is why it can't just be like, hey, Mr. Client, what's your goals and what's your objectives? Okay, you're going to get a lot of bevs. You're going to get a lot of business owners who think they know the market and they really don't know the market all that much. You do want to know their goals. I'm not saying that you shouldn't want to know their goals and their objectives, but we have to go well beyond that is the point, okay? So research the market. We're going to do some SEO research, right? This is kind of like market research, but it's specific market research. It's, hey, what are people actually typing in to try to find the things that you offer so that we can start to optimize for those things and potentially rank for those things. This isn't the whole of doing SEO. It's just some research. We've got to get some insights on what's going on in the market. We might also research the competitors, okay? We want to see we looked at your website. We saw your gaps and your challenges. We also looked at 5 to 7 to 10 websites over here of your top competitors, and we know what they're doing really well, and we know what they're not doing really well. We know where their gaps are. We know where we can attack them. We also know what they've done really, really well so that we can leverage that, right? Okay, so we're researching the competition. Is there anything else? Is there anything else in this discovery that you guys want to fit in? I said a minute ago, I don't see any feedback yet. Like, what do you want to put in here? Should we put anything else? I want to make sure that we're not missing anything. Anything that I've talked about on this channel before, anything that you know in your own mind maybe should be baked into this discovery process. What else should we put in here? Is there anything else? Let me know. And then we're going to move on to, and we can always go back a little bit and refine this. We're working on this together. We don't have to get every step perfect, to move on to the next one. So now we're going to do step 2. All right, so step 2 has a name. Can anybody guess what it might be? Any guesses on what step 2 is? Helps to know the company's history. Yes, that's researching the client's company. That fits into there, but you are correct. Who is your ideal customer? That kind of goes into researching the client's company. They're going to tell you that kind of stuff. SEO keywords goes into SEO research right here. Okay. Oh, you know what? In the discovery process, we're going to sitemap. We're going to create a sitemap for the website's architecture. Okay. And that's going to be based on a lot of the SEO research that we do, by the way. Well, why? Why would we do this? Why would we do this? Well, it turns out that you don't just want to use random URLs for everything, and you actually want some organized structure to the website. And it turns out that if you don't do the SEO research ahead of time and you do a whole website with all these hey, we thought that's what the URL was supposed to be. That sounded good to us at the time. Well, it doesn't correspond to any keywords that they're trying to rank for, or it corresponds to the wrong keyword, right? It actually turns out that that's a big problem. You don't want to build an entire site and be, sorry, Mr. Client. Like, now the SEO agency comes in and the SEO agency's like, we got to remap all these URLs. Well, we're going to lose our rankings a little. Well, maybe. But we got to 301 redirect these because these are all the wrong URLs. The site structure is horrific. That's the kind of situation you're going to create if you don't do this work ahead of time. And now the client, just put yourself in the shoes of the client now. They're hearing these things. Oh, you're going to research my company and you're going to research the market. You're going to really do your homework, it sounds like. I like an agency that does their homework. You're going to research my competition. I can't wait to hear what you find out. I really want to know how they're doing, what they're doing. What are they doing really good? Where can we attack them? I really want to know that. Very interesting for the client. Very interesting for the client. But this one, most of all, I mean, think about this. They're like, whoa, you have to do that ahead of time? Well, nobody else that I talked to mentioned that. Well, yeah. I mean, that's unfortunate. I guess what they're going to do is they're just going to randomly choose slugs for the URLs, and they're just going to hope that that's right. And if it's not, you're going to have to remap all the URLs later. Well, that doesn't sound like a cheap thing. No, it's not. It's not. So you see, like, there's reasons. There's reasons for why we're doing what we're doing. And these reasons actually inform the client when you just tell them the reasons. It's like, it's magic. It's magic. Okay. So we're going to create a sitemap for the website's architecture. What else are we going to do? All right, let's see. Okay, so yeah, I asked a minute ago, what do we do next? Justin says, I do UX after the architecture. Okay, so let's make this UX. So UX is, we're going to do low fidelity wireframes. Fidelity, it's very hard to talk and type at the same time. Low fidelity wireframes. We're going to plan out the narrative of the website, right? So we're doing some content planning. And really, this is of each page, right? We're going to plan out the general narrative of each page. What do we want to communicate with each page? And this is some content planning, all right? Oh, you know what? This springs into my mind. We forgot something, guys, in discovery. We got to go back. We got to fix this. We are going to do what I call a messaging. We'll do a content and messaging session. All right. So we'll do a strategy session. So a content and messaging strategy session. My gosh, this is critical. Absolutely critical. Why? Why would you do a content and messaging strategy session? Well, Mr. Client, let me inform you real quick. I know everybody wants to focus on how beautiful this website is going to be and how well coded it's going to be, right? You know, on this channel, we talk about best practices and we talk about responsiveness and fluid typography and accessibility. And man, Mr. Client, I know everybody wants to focus on those things, but let me just be honest with you for a minute. If this website doesn't have good copy and messaging, it is going to fail your business. I promise. It's just guaranteed. It's guaranteed because I'll tell you this, Mr. Client, we could actually make an ugly site for you. And if that ugly site has tremendous copy and messaging, it's going to make you a lot of money. So I'm just telling you right now, this is a step we always do. We have to do. We cannot build a site if we don't know what it's going to say. And we got to make sure it's going to say the right things at the right time, right? And so this is obviously very, very, and it's yet again, the client's like, oh, well, these other agencies I talked to, they didn't mention that. They just said that they were going to get the content from me. That's like, oh, they did? Oh, are you a copywriter? You must be a copywriter. They were going to get the content from you. You must be a copywriter. How long have you been doing copywriting? Oh, no, I don't know anything about copy. I just was going to get them the content. Oh, well, obviously there's a big disconnect here, isn't there? Right? Now they've been informed. They just learned. A light bulb just went off in their head. Hey, this copy and messaging thing is very, very important. They were going to ask me to do it. I don't know how to do it. Okay, I guess I shouldn't choose them. Do you guys see how this makes the decision very obvious? And this is just process. It's just process. But it maps back to why is the process the way that it is? Well, it turns out if you do this enough, you really figure out this doesn't really get the job done for the client. They don't really get a lot of results from this. Then you migrate to something like this, and then you do this for a while, and then you start to realize, hey, I think there's more value we can bake in here. We're starting to learn more things. We're gaining more experience. We can do better for our clients. And after a while, your process becomes more legit. And that legitimate process actually communicates to everybody that you talk to that you are high value, that you're a consultant and not a pixel pusher, that you know what you're actually doing. You get it. Let's keep going. Okay, so create a sitemap for the website architecture, content and messaging strategy session. Now we're on to low fidelity wireframes. We're going to plan out the narrative of each page. How are we planning out the narrative of each page? It comes directly from the results of this. Now, I'll tell you right now, this is not a sales pitch for the inner circle. That's not the point of this. There's enough value in this video. You don't have to join the inner circle, but there is a offer and messaging and content masterclass that gives you the actual workbook that you do with the client, and then a 90-minute video that shows you exactly how to do the workbook with the client. And this directly maps into the rest of the content, whether it's content planning, the actual copywriting, on and on and on and on and on, okay? But in UX phase right here, step number 2, we're doing the low fidelity wireframes. We're planning out the narrative of each page. We are deciding on call to actions, okay? And conversion points. Because what are we trying to do with the layout? Why are we doing UX? We're trying to get the visitor to flow through to the action point, to get them to take action. So we've got to strategize that. We've got to map that out. And then we also have to figure out, does that coincide with the narrative that we want to tell on each individual page? And this is a page by page thing. This is not a website thing. This is this page gets this wireframe for this reason, and this page gets this wireframe for this reason, and on and on and on. And that actually takes some work, and it actually takes some knowledge and insight and understanding. But you explain this to the client. Look, how are we going to build a site if we don't know what the layout is? Are we just going to wing it? Do you want us to just wing it? How about that? Let's just propose that as a question. Would you rather us wing it? And of course, they're going to answer no. Of course they would, if they are a legitimate business and want legitimate results. So no, please use your experience and expertise to plan this out ahead of time. That would be phenomenal. And then what we do is we have a meeting, right? So we do a meeting to review. So at each phase, let's put that down here too. Meeting to review. What is another common complaint that people have about agencies and freelancers in the web design agency? They sign a contract, they pay a deposit, and then they just don't hear from them much again. It's like this is being developed and designed behind closed doors. Sometimes we get a glimpse or a sneak peek or whatever, but there's no like in-depth meetings about, hey, what do you guys think of all this research that we uncovered? I did a discovery session for a client not too long ago, and it was related to what his competitors were doing with PPC and PPC research and opportunities that they could go after in PPC. And I put this whole spreadsheet together on what keywords their competitors were bidding on. And it was a whole like mapped out, like your top 3 competitors, this is what they're doing on PPC. And this is winning for them on PPC. And they were like, they looked at one of the campaigns and they were like, our product does that, but we haven't even thought about our product in that way or like marketing it in that way. And they paid $1,500 for this. It was like just a little thing. And they were like, I would have paid like 5 times this much. Like, do you know how much money we're going to make? Like with that little insight right there that they actually got from a competitor, but it was closed data because it was, PPC data that we just pulled with some software. That's the kind of stuff, like the value. Again, let's go back to value, price. What are you actually doing for your clients? Okay. All right. So we've got this meeting to review on the wireframes. Why? Because we want to make sure that the client is comfortable with moving forward to the next phase. Does all of this make sense to you, Mr. Client? Everything that you're looking at here, does this make sense to you? And they'll be like, well, I don't know. Why is the button there and not up there? Why did it? And then you can explain to them. You can have a conversation. And then if they make a really good point, you can move something or change something. And then they feel like, wow, this is a collaborative process. I really enjoy this process that I'm being led through. Okay. All right. Now let's go on. What is next? Step number 3. After UX, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Amigo says, Kevin Geary 2024. All right. I am happy that you guys are happy. What are we doing next? What is step number 3? What are we doing after UX now? We've done our low fidelity wireframes. Client says, we like the layout concepts you've come up with. We understand the narrative you're trying to tell on these pages. We understand the conversion points that you're trying to take people to. All right. What's next? What do we do now? Give me some options. There is a wrong answer. There are wrong answers, but you still got to participate. Still got to see what you guys are thinking. Okay, Suzanne says UI. Peter says UI. Albert says wireframing funnel. We already did the wireframing. That's step 2. That's UX. That's the wireframes. Maddie says UI. Carson says UI. I knew UI. UI was going to be a very popular step. I will be honest with you. I've swapped these back and forth before. Okay. So you're only half wrong. What I've found as of late is it's much better to go to copywriting now. Okay. So we go to copywriting. Now, if you are not a copywriter, this can't be your next step unless you found a copywriter that's going to write the copy. Please don't just tell the client, God, this is so important. The copy is the most important part of your website, so we're going to handle it. But you've never written copy before, and you actually suck at copy. Because it's just going to be the same thing as if the client gives you their own copy. So if you don't do copywriting, this is where you find a copywriter that you can contract work out to. Maybe you can't bring them in-house yet. You don't have to bring them in-house. Find some legit copywriters that you can leverage. You're going to be charging accordingly so that you can actually afford these people, right? That's the other side of this. Remember, you don't have $2,500 to work with. That's why I said that's hobby shit, okay? You can't run a legit business on $2,500 for a project budget, and do the things that are actually necessary to do. The money doesn't money. The math doesn't math, okay? So you have to have more money to actually get the correct result. So you're going to take this out of the picture now. We're not ready anymore. We're actually doing it. All right, so we're going to do copywriting into the wireframes, okay? So we are going to actually write the copy, and what we actually probably want to do here, okay? So we're going to be doing, most copywriters would do, is they would just do copywriting, for each And I'll say for each money page. It doesn't have to be like every word of the website. It's the money pages, your homepage, the service pages, that kind of stuff. All right. So we're doing copywriting for each money page. Then we have to bake the copywriting into the wireframes, because you can't just take paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of content and slap them onto a website, contrary to popular belief. Stop doing that shit. You've got to bake the copywriting into the wireframes. You know, if you've got cards, feature cards, let's say, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, there's a little blurb of text, okay? What the client will do, and this is if you ask the client, hey, client, we need copy for our feature cards. They're going to give you like 3 paragraphs for feature 1, a sentence for feature 2. I don't know what has gotten into people, but they will actually copy and paste that shit into those feature cards. And you got like a mile-long feature card over here, a little blurb right here. Like, oh my gosh. We just lost all semblance of balance and rhythm and design consistency. Everything that like matters from a design standpoint just went out the window. What are we doing? You take the copywriting and you have to work it. You got to work it into these spots. You got to massage it into these spots. You can't just copy paste the copy. Okay. That takes work, effort, time. All right. So this is something that probably should be billed for, right? All right. So we're baking the copywriting into the wireframe so it's nice and clean and all the layouts. And then we are doing, well, first of all, copywriting for each money page. It's going to have to be edited too. There's going to be editing for the copywriting. Then we bake the copywriting into the wireframes. And then what do? Meeting to review. Okay. Mr. Client, does this say all of the things that it needs to say? That based on what you know about your target market, does this feel persuasive? Have we left anything out? Are we missing anything? I mean, we've done a ton of research and we think we've hit the nail on the head here, but if we're missing something, now is the time to tell us, because we want to make sure that we hit on every point. And by the way, this is so easy, this step. If you have the offer and messaging workbook all filled out and you already did a whole session with the client, you know every talking point you need to hit on, every selling point, you know the why behind everything. By the way, let's just go like real high level here. Let's go real high level. Do you know how many clients who are kind of in this group right here? Like they were seeking out originally kind of like a budget web designer or this kind of average web designer. And, you know, they do a lot of stuff offline, but they don't really know the potential of the online game and what it can really do for them and on and on and on. But it's still, they kind of have a mediocre business, if we're being honest, right? They're not just knocking it out of the park. They're not an industry leader. They're not a local leader. They just have a decent business, right? And you look at an average business and then we look into it and we start doing, they actually hire us because we sell them this process and they're like, well, we got to do that. Okay. So in this discovery phase, when we look at the client's own process for their own products and services, we see shit that looks like this. And then we educate them and say, look, Mr. Client, like you pull them aside, right? I just got to tell you, this is going to be really hard to sell. Well, why is it going to be hard to sell? Let's just say it's pick any business, a roofing company, a restaurant, whatever. And they say, oh, why is it going to be hard to sell? Well, you know, Mr. Client, there's a lot of roofing companies out there. There are a lot of restaurants out there. And from what we can tell, your best selling point is, and then something irrelevant, right? And it's like, you kind of, look like all the others. And it's like, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to figure out what to say. And so we can't just make shit up. So we actually coach the business into like how they can do things a little bit better and be a little bit more unique and stand out. And we're almost like putting our own like brand PR consultant hat on and like, you guys are looking really average right now. And that's revealed. And, we're not always revealing like rainbows and unicorns here. Sometimes we're revealing like, well, the reason you're struggling, Mr. Client, is because you're fucking boring. You're doing something. You're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. So, you say that nicer, but that's just the reality of the situation. How do you market boring shit? It's very difficult. If you haven't realized yet, it's very difficult to market boring stuff. So, but now imagine you're a client, you've hired this company and they come in and they say, hey, we just got to be honest with you. What you're doing is very boring. And if you did X, Y, and Z, we've seen that your competitors are not really doing super exciting stuff, except for this one over here is absolutely crushing it. We want to get you closer to them. And here's what we can do. Like, you're actually giving them steps that we can take to make. Now it's like, oh my God, I hired a web design company. And now, like, I'm starting to rethink how my business does business. That's kind of the conclusion you want a lot of these people to come to, because you're going to be dealing with a lot of average businesses, right? And by the way, if they hire a legit copywriter, that copywriter will have the exact same situation. If you hire a branding person who's a legit branding person, they will have the exact same conversation with them. They should. A good one will have that exact same. So a web designer should be no different. Sorry, nobody else has told you this, Mr. Customer, but you're boring. All right, now let's move on. Let's figure out how to not be boring. Okay, and again, you say it nicer. You got to sprinkle a little sugar on top. Okay, so copywriting for each money page, editing for the copywriting, bake the copywriting into the wireframes, meeting to review. What are we doing next? You guys already said it. We're just going to go to it. Step 4 is UI. So now we're doing high fidelity design. All right. So we're all the bells and whistles, all the beautification, all the brand essence. Now we're doing that. We've gotten to a point where I feel comfortable making everything that we've done so far look pretty. All right. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So high fidelity design, all the finishing touches. Okay. Colors, brand. Okay. All of that good stuff. And by the way, I won't go into that tangent. We'll stay focused. Okay. So step 4 is UI. This is what's funny. This is hilarious about this. The UI, the high fidelity design, the finishing touches, the colors, the brand, what's going to animate or not animate on the page, like all this kind of stuff. This is what everybody focuses on when they think web design. This is the step that comes to every client's mind. This is the step that comes to almost every agency's mind, right? That's what many agencies start on this step, right? What was it back here? Send us 3 to 4 examples of sites that you like. It was just all opinion, subjective, just what looks good, what doesn't look good. We want to make you something beautiful, Mr. Client. This is what everybody focuses on. And it's legitimately probably the least important step. And that just is funny to me, because it's like, how can we all collectively, customers, freelancers, agencies, be missing this glaring reality? We're not trying to win design contests. My client, contrary to popular belief, cannot pay his mortgage with a design contest badge, okay? He can pay his mortgage and his employees with visitors who convert and pay him actual money. That's what he can pay his bills with. And discovery and actually mapping out a winning strategy for this website, for its narrative, for its layout, for its conversion points, doing legit copyright, all of this is way more important. Because I told you earlier, the reality is, and this has been proven time and time again, you can have an ugly website that makes gazillions of dollars. Gazillions of dollars. This is the least important step. And if you are a UI designer, that doesn't mean you're out of a job. That doesn't mean you don't matter. That we still all like and prefer beautiful things. I like to use beautiful software. I like when software spends money on UI. I like when websites are beautiful. I don't like to use shitty websites. I like to use really good looking websites. But the fact of the matter remains that out of all of the other things, it's probably the least important. Okay, let's do step number 5. So we're going to bring this down here. Step number 5, what are we doing, guys, for step number 5? We've got a high fidelity design right here in our hands. We've got a high fidelity design. What are we going to do with it? Derek says, step 5, make the logo bigger. Absolutely. That's got to be in there. All right. Come on. What we got for step number 5? No wrong answers. There kind of are, but it's okay. Be confident in your answer. Everybody says great video. I'm just going to read comments while we wait on step number 5. I said we're going to do this together. I can't give you all the answers. Let's see. Albert says slide that baby to Chat GPT and you all good. That's what a lot of people are going to be doing. That is for sure. Okay. Yeah, and you notice, okay, this is Brian. Brian says, have a client approve everything where it's at right now before moving forwards. That's what's great about this last step. Oh, we forgot to put this here, didn't we? Okay, meeting to review. Every step, hey, Mr. Client, what do you think? How you liking this so far? Is everything going smoothly for you? Have any questions? Have any concerns at this point, okay? Because what we'd like to do is move on to the next step. And clients know, they got to know up front, hey, Jack, we ain't moving backwards, okay? If shit get approved, it's moving on. Now, things can change later. Future phases, things can change. We can change our mind. But we have a deadline, and we've got a lot of people involved in this. There's a lot of hands in the pot, right? Especially when you're working with teams where it's like, it's not just one person that you're actually meeting with. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4. There's a Bev involved. There's a Fred involved. Hey, I get it. Bev changed her mind. All right. We've already talked about Bev. You know, she works in accounting. Okay. So her opinion is only worth so much. But listen, we got a deadline and we're not going to hit your deadline if we don't keep moving forwards. So once stuff is approved, we're not going backwards. We're not going backwards now. We're going forwards. Does it always happen perfectly like that? No. But that's the goal. That's the objective. That's the mindset that we're going into this with. So these meetings to review are very important. Once they green light a phase, a step right here, we're moving on to the next step. We're not going backwards. All right. And then we're hitting deadline. And then after we hit a deadline and publish the website, things can be changed. This is a living, breathing thing. What's step number 5? Making page builders feel good. Develop the site and Divi or Elementor. Email setup, Google Tag Manager, and analytics setup. Nope. Can't do that yet. Don't jump the gun on us. Yes. Ralph says develop phase. Amigo says development. Okay. Alo says dev. Yes. All right. So we are going to dev this out. Now, how do we explain this to the client? Well, guys, all the stuff you've been learning on this channel up to this point, this is where they come in. This comes into play, not just in, hey, am I doing better work? Hey, am I building to a standard? Hey, everything that I've given you thus far is a sales tool and a marketing tool. And now you talk your game, your development game, right? So scalable, maintainable, development practices, accessibility focused, fluid responsive, everything. Fluid responsive, everything, right? Can be iterated on easily and affordably. You can't iterate on an ID styled website affordably and easily. That's a lot more hours, Jack. You know, I got it done quick. But when it comes to iteration and scale and all of that, that's a lot more hours down the road that are going to have to happen because we made a mess. We made it a little messy behind the scenes. Okay. All right. So we can iterate on this easily and affordably. We're focused on speed and performance, right? Getting the SEO optimization baked in there. Of course, everybody fucking says that these days. So that's not the greatest selling point on earth, but it is in there because it is a reality of what you should be doing, right? What else? Anything else that we talk about all the time needs to be put in here to demonstrate that, hey, our development process is not like the others. Oh, how about custom? Okay, dev from scratch, right? No starter theme, right? No like layout. Well, they already have a high fidelity design to work from, right? So we got this going. What else? Anything else that would, but you do want to reiterate that, right? Especially if you're in the sales call, because we haven't actually done these steps yet. You just kind of want to reiterate like, hey, these other people might have you select something from Theme Forest, right? Or they might use this Divi builder starter kit. That's not what we're going to be doing. All right. Speed and performance, SEO optimization, anything else here? Okay. Yeah, DRY, that's the scalable, maintainable. DRY, don't repeat yourself, goes into there. Okay, anything that we're missing here? Okay, we'll just leave it at that for now. Let's move on. I don't even know what we're doing for time here. 12:44. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're going to do objections at the end, and we're going to do questions as well. I'm going to save time for both. Okay, what comes after dev? What comes after dev? Step number 5. What can we do after development? Oh, also in here, mobile optimization, right? Device optimization. That can be two different things, you know? Let's go here. Go down a little bit. Let's drag this down a little bit. Punch list, right? By the way, when you're doing development, do you know how efficient this process is right here when all of this has already been done? You're literally just building what you're looking at, and you know while you're building it, everything that I'm building right now has already been approved. There's no more second guessing. There's no more, it's all been approved. All I have to do as the developer is just do my job now. There's no more questions. There's no more objections. There's no more changes. I just do my job. That's all I have to do. Okay, there will be a little minor punch list at the end, as always. There's going to be a little bugs to fix here and there, whatever, but that's it. And then we can deploy, right? We'll just bake all that in. We don't need extra steps if we don't have to have them. Okay, handoff site and upsell services, optimizing server stack, and mobile optimization versus, I should say, container optimization. I'm actually forward thinking a little bit on this. With very dynamic websites, you design a component, right? This is something we could not do in the past, but see, this is again why like process evolves. Notice process evolves because the industry is evolving as well. So when container queries arrive, which they're already arriving, they're currently arriving, container queries are going to allow us to design a component that actually changes based on the container it's placed in, not just based on the device that's viewing it. And that's going to be very, very powerful for dynamic aspects of a website. But that again, that has to be like, you know, communicated to the client. Like, this is stuff that we think about, right? Okay. All right. So let's move on. A punch list is, it's just like you buy a house. Okay. I just got a townhouse in Florida. The minute you close on not a used house, but on a brand new house, the developer of the house meets with you and they have a little clipboard and you follow them around and you just point out every little thing that's wrong. Like every little bug, every little is patchwork, whatever. Anything that's not the way that you want it to be. They got a little clipboard, they walk around and then they come back the next day later, whatever, and they fix everything on the list. That's a punch list. Same thing with a website. It's like, let's go. Now, we're not changing layouts and all this other stuff. You can't be like, well, I decided I need a fucking room over there. well, you bought the house when there wasn't a room there. So no, we're not adding a bathroom for you. We're not adding a fireplace. That's not what we're doing, Bev. Okay, calm down. We're doing little bugs, little details, little misses here and there, whatever, because those always exist in a website. You get it? So that's a punch list. And that's going to be, you know, every single website that you do. Client feels really good about that because they want to just get everything tidied up before it really goes live. Okay. What are we doing for step number 5? Next would be security and quality testing. Okay. Okay. I actually put the all this mobile optimization, container optimization, that's kind of that quality testing in that phase. And in your punch list. You're obviously reviewing this on all browsers and all devices and whatever. We got to think next level now. Not next level, but just next step. All right. This is going to be, let me put an ASDF here because I can't get up here. All right. Step 5 is actually step 6, management. Okay. And I will give you a hint. This is not the final step. This is not the final step. Okay. All right. For everybody that's like testing. Okay. Punch list and testing down here. Just slap them together. All right. Management of the website. So what are we doing? Well, we're doing hosting of the website. You should always strive to host your clients' websites. So high quality hosting, right? High quality, we'll say, yeah, just high quality hosting. So for our stack, it's grid pane. And this is an opportunity for you to explain, hey, this is not going on a HostGator server, Mr. Client. This is not going on a Bluehost server. And this is an opportunity for you to explain, right? Here's your security. Now map out all your stuff. Map all this out. What does all your security entail? Daily backups, offsite backups, right? Like everything that goes into this. Then you're going to have your WordPress plugin updates. You're also going to have, here's a big one, plugin licensing. This, by the way, is a recurring fee. Got it? Okay. So they're paying a recurring fee for management. High quality hosting on GridPane. You got all your security, your daily backups, your offsite backups, your WordPress plugin updates. Actually, there's WordPress updates. Then there's WordPress plugin updates. You have your plugin licensing. You're doing your speed optimization, which is constant, right? Again, anytime more things are added to this website, the more checks there have to be. Accessibility optimization, ongoing work. That's an ongoing thing that has to happen. As more content is added, more layouts are added, things are changed, got to go back to accessibility, analysis and optimization and all of that. You could have analytics tracking in here. You can put whatever you want. You can have multiple different packages for management. Highly advise you to have more than one management package that they can choose from. Here's our low-level management package, but we're managing this, okay? This is not a handoff situation. And this is not now this should make total sense to everybody and their mom who watches this and who listens to this. Do you think for a fucking second we're going to do all of this research, all of this planning, hand this to a professional copywriter, do all of this for SEO, do all of this UI? Do you think for a second we want Bev in there tinkering and just changing stuff willy-nilly? I don't know. No, Bev, no, you can't touch it. And people are like, you can't bar the client from accessing their website. I don't. Here's your admin credentials. Here's your access. Please don't touch it. Just here's the thing. If you want to touch it, just ping us. Just let us know you want to touch it. And we'll touch it for you, right? Because now, like, we're talking about just performance, just SEO. I mean, we green light this page. It's got a 95, on Core Web Vitals. And they just want to, I just want to swap out a couple images. That's all I want to do. And they go put in 8 megabyte images and shit. And there's no alt tags. And like, actually that image that we had was a kind of an important image. This is not a good one. Like now the page is not converting very well anymore. Like the consequences of people who don't know what they're doing, tinkering, making adjustments and editing content and all this other stuff that it's like everybody wants the client to be able to do. I don't want the client anywhere near that stuff. Look at the time and attention to detail. The same I got to go back. I'm sorry. I got to go back to pizza. We got it. If this is not hitting home, do you think for a second that my Italian professional legit pizza man is going to be like, oh yeah, I'll just throw whatever cheese on there. Oh yeah. We'll just use whatever dough. Oh, your mom has a recipe? Okay, bring it in. We'll work it up. No, get your hands off my pizza. This is my process. We know what we're doing. This is our process. This is the quality of work that we do. This is how we achieve the objectives that we promised. This is the way it is for a reason. And now you're going to come in with your just randomness of just like, oh, this feels good to change this. Oh, I think this might do well. You're destroying everything. And by the way, if I make all the decisions, our team does all of this, and it's not performing well, we will take full responsibility. And we will do whatever we need to do, whatever changes we need to make, whatever iterations we need to hit on to get you the conversion rates that you should have and get you the return on investment that you should have. But here's the biggest but. Like sign a disclaimer but. You allow Bev in there to start doing whatever Bev wants to do? Not me, Jack. Not me anymore. Don't come to me. Performance not there, don't come to me. SEO not there, don't look at me, right? If you let our team handle it, we'll take responsibility. We will 100% do whatever needs to happen. But the minute y'all want to tinker, that's on you. Whatever you want to change, that's on you, okay? That's kind of again, sprinkle sugar. It's just honest. You just got to be honest, right? I'm saying it this way for entertainment purposes on a live stream. You should not say it this way when you're talking to a client. But you get it, I think it helps make the point, okay? Just like Pizza Man right here he doesn't want people tinkering in his kitchen. I'll tell you that right now. And it's like, but it's their pizza. Isn't that the argument? People always, but it's their pizza. Right. But they asked me to make it for a reason because they wanted a specific outcome. If I let them in the kitchen, they got a kitchen at home. Why don't they just use their kitchen at home? Why didn't they just use Wix, Squarespace? Let's watch the commercial. Wix says you can do all of this yourself. Okay, go use Wix. If you want an outcome and you're paying good money for an outcome, let the cook be in the kitchen. Don't go back there and start throwing his stuff around and adding this and a little of that. Just let the cook cook, okay? And then if the cook makes something terrible, tell him it's terrible and be like, make it again. Do better this time. Right? That's legitimate, 100% legitimate. So I hope that's that should get the point across, right? And again, look at any, I've done this rant enough. Look at any industry. You're not in there with your lawyer tinkering on the contracts, okay? You're not, if God forbid you've done something wrong and you're being taken to court and perhaps you may go to prison. Oh my God, I'm not tinkering, okay? Please do your job, Mr. Lawyer, right? Okay, we hand off to professionals what should be done by professionals. And for some reason in our industry, everybody's like, it's their pizza. Like, okay, but if they wanted to make it themselves, they should have made it themselves. Don't pay me $15,000 and then come in at the end and try to do things yourself and mess it all up. That's waste your $15,000. Okay, it doesn't make sense for the client. And sometimes clients just don't make sense. They want to do things that don't make sense. And sometimes you got to protect them against themselves. Okay? All right. Because after all, you're the expert. You're the consultant. So here's management. We got to move on. Step number 7. All right. Step number 7 is marketing. And again, let me do this. Marketing. Let's write a very special word here. Recurring money. So for those of you who want to expand your horizons, expand your revenue, and on and on and on, let's fix this little stack right here. All right, so perfect. We're doing things like SEO. We're doing things like PPC. You could have general, ideally you want to specialize in certain platforms, right? But you could have your Facebook advertising here. Maybe you're doing YouTube for clients. You can have other specialties, right? You can also bring these or contract these out. There's a lot of ways to do this, but I'm guessing that you and or people you network with know more about SEO and PPC and Facebook advertising and YouTube and all these other options that are available, okay? Pick one or two. Just pick, there's a lot of options. Pick one or two that you think have the highest impact. So for example, if you work primarily with local businesses, then GMB, right? We got to talk about GMB if we're dealing with a local business, don't we? Don't we? We got to talk about GMB. Probably got to talk about service area SEO. That's local SEO. Got it. So maybe if primarily you're working with local businesses, that's what you pick, right? Now, if you work primarily with startups and maybe national businesses or whatever, maybe your areas are content marketing with national SEO, using that content marketing. That may be the thing that you want to focus on for your clients. PPC, maybe we add that as well. Maybe that's your two things, right? Content marketing and PPC. That's what we're going to tack on because you've got to explain, once again, why does this step exist? And the client may ask you that. Well, I don't need that. Why do I need that? Well, Mr. Client, let me just tell you real quick. Let's be honest about this. I can do step 1 perfect. I can get you all the research in the world. I can get you the best wireframes that have ever been created on this planet. I can get you the best copy that's ever been written. I can get you the most fantastic, the most beautiful UI. Donald Trump level UI. Everything's good. Everything's the best, right? I can get you dev that's just knocks it out of the park. Every T is crossed, every I is dotted. I can even manage this thing for you. I can make sure it's secure and it's backed up. And you know what, Mr. Client? At the end of the day, you're going to have that many visitors. That many are going to see all that work that we did. If we don't, market it. And they already understand this. They already understand that you got to market a business to get business, okay? They understand this. So it makes total sense to them. And you're like, you know what? Your billboards on I-85 probably are not going to get anybody to this website. So what I would recommend is, based on your business, based on the research that we've done, based on what your competitors are doing to crush it or to miss opportunities, I think you should do SEO, content marketing. I think you should do PPC. You get to choose now. What should they be doing that you can offer and that you can put on retainer for? Because marketing, I think we all understand this, is kind of an ongoing thing. So it makes sense that they would make ongoing payments for such things. So now you're in a situation where you're landing a retainer. Maybe a retainer that includes 2 different deliverables, primary deliverables. Not to mention you've got a little management retainer. This could be something small, $79 a month, $199 a month, $299 a month, anywhere in those ranges. You got multiple packages to choose from. But then you've got iterations on this website, because maybe we didn't even do the entire website. Maybe we did a first phase of the website. And so there's more phases to come. That's more revenue coming down the line for you. Why? Because you attracted a client and a business that has actual aspirations for themselves. They aren't the $500 business. They're the, hey, we got money and we want more of it. And so we want you to do whatever you need to do to get us more of that money. And we'll give you money to go get us more money. Right? So clients that actually want to grow, clients that want to be number one in their market, clients that want to be number one in their industry, that's who you have an opportunity to work for. You don't even want to work for the clients who are here. This is not interesting. This is not interesting work. My God, another theme forest template to adjust the colors on and slap content into. I'm going to jump off a bridge. I want to be working on this. I want to be working with companies who care about growth and opportunity and doing significant things and having an impact, and on and on and on and on and on, right? Okay. So this is your opportunity to really help them grow and help them move the needle. So now let's just stop there. Let's zoom out. Can we zoom out a little bit? Okay. So here's number 1, and we realize what this maps to. Here's number 2. And we know what this maps to. I mean, even that 4,500 number, right? This process right here, what's fantastic about this, if you want to do a little 1-page website for a client to get started, they don't have a lot of, here's the secret. If you want the secret, there is a secret. It's not like I'm the first person to ever say this, but it is a secret. A lot of people, it takes a lot of time for people to figure this out or to get comfortable enough with saying it. But if my project minimum is, let's say, $5,000, and you're like, well, what do you get for $5,000? Well, you don't get a website for $5,000. You get what amounts to a landing page, right? A homepage, like a single-page website. There's a lot of good single-page websites out there that are great for startups and great for businesses that don't have a lot of money and investment yet, but it does the job of anybody that arrives on it, whether via PPC or whatever. It actually does the job of selling them. Why? Because it's a 1-page website that has the research behind it, and it had a lot of thought put into it, and it has good copy, and it has all the ingredients, right? It's just not a lot of pages. And so you can get an ROI, even spending $5,000 on a 1-page website, you can get tremendous ROI from that if it's the right 1 page. And then we can start to iterate now, because it's like, hey, we're built on a platform. This is not a theme, dog. Like we can add more pages anytime we want to. So now you can start to iterate and do more work for the company over time as they grow. And so that's like bottom level. So you can take this and fit it into a $5,000 project. It's just not a lot of pages. Now, what can you take this up to? I don't know, $85,000, $125,000. Because you got to keep in mind too, when you tack on this other piece of marketing and that recurring revenue that's baked into this amount right here, it's average. This is just standard business. Standard business. We have an average order value. How do we get that higher? The average amount that somebody spends, how do we get it higher? Well, this does it right there. But all of this does it, really. All of this does it. Because we already know how this maps to value. And the reason I zoomed out is because you can just see them next to each other. You could just see. And this, what did I say? Process is everything. We just outlined a process that is your sales tool, that is your marketing narrative, that is everything that you do. Because it's legitimately your process. It's like the actual work that you do. It's what you sell. It raises your prices. Because you can't map this process out and then throw out the, here, we're going to go up here, right here, okay? We were back here at, $12.50, right? Just put a $12.50 on that. Come on. Clients, what are you, running a charity? What is this? This does not map to this thing down here. Everybody knows that. And just go back to everything that I said earlier about objections and trust and being a consultant and not a pixel pusher. And all you have to do is have a legitimate process and tell people what your legitimate process is. And everything else just seems to fall into place as long as you can back it up by actually doing the work. As long as you can actually do the work. And that's the part that takes practice and takes time and takes attention to detail and takes a lot of things. And none of us are perfect at it, but we're all working to get better and we're all at different stages and we're all trying to get to the next stage, right? That's what we should be doing. Okay. Let's do either objections or you can fully object to anything that I've said. Write the word objection in all caps and then write your objection. You can also ask questions now. Write the word question in all caps. I think we've done enough. I think I've gotten the point across. Let me talk about action items before we do this for anybody who might dip out now because they're like, I got it. I'm going to do my homework. Okay. Let me just review the notes real quick. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. Okay, I've asked all the questions. Yep. Okay. The action step that you need to do right after this, go map out your process. Do exactly what we just did. Don't copy mine. Map it out on paper, every detail that you can imagine. Now, what I will say, we really just skimmed through this. You can't just get on a call and be like, Mr. Client, we're going to do container optimization for your website. No. Don't take technical language and try to translate it into a sales call, okay? You want to then come back like a copywriter would and find ways to describe these things in 5th grade terms. Like anybody who hears this understands that it's important, understands that not everybody does it, understands that it's done for a very important reason, on everything that we talked about, okay? So you've got to reword this. Put this in your own wording of why you do what you do at every single step and make it yours. I said earlier, there can be multiple legit processes. So you've got to make your own legit process. Just have a reason for why the process is the way that it is. And then after you've done that, you've got to start communicating your process. Every opportunity that you get. Your website talks about your process. Your sales calls, you talk about your process. Every opportunity you get, you're talking about in the project that's already been signed. You're reminding the client, here's our process. Here's why it's our process. Because you know Bev is going to be looking over shoulders and shit. And so you got to constantly, Bev needs like 3, 4, 5 reminders. Bev, this is our process. This is why we do this, okay? All right, let's do questions and objections. All right, let me get to the chat. Got to be, all right, question in all caps. Can you talk about legal stuff, photography, and 404 page? What specifically? would you like me to talk about? Like photography, I'll talk about photography and what I assume that you're asking about. Imagery is not copywriting, right? In a way, it's definitely conveying the narrative and visualizing the words and all of that. Images is very, very, very important. And a lot of clients don't have good images. They don't have the images that they need. A lot of websites use stock images. And sometimes stock images can maybe get the job done if you're really good at choosing them. But what I say is it's always better to have native organic photography done. And I've told the story in the past about how I did an e-commerce client and they were a fashion company. And I don't know if you'll know this, but if you want to sell fashion, you have to have really good photography for fashion, okay? If you have dog doo-doo photos of the items that people are going to be wearing, they feel like that's going to look like dog doo-doo on me. And so I'm probably not going to buy that. Well, you know, this client couldn't understand that. And this client was a low budget client. I was doing it for a friend, which I should have said no, because they don't have the money they need. And it's not like, oh, you got to exclude the people who can't afford it. And like, we just can't do legitimate work for them. That's it. And we're not going to be able to get results if they can't find the money. It's like, well, I tell this all the time too, because people are like, how are they going to spend this kind of money? Like these businesses walk into a commercial building and they say, yes, we're going to pay $15,000 a month to have our business here. Signed, gone, right? Then they go off to this manufacturer over here. Yeah, we're going to pay you $10,000 a month to manufacture X amount of units. Signed, over here. And they're going to every vendor, writing check after check after check. 10,000, 15,000, 30,000, 50,000. Then they come along to the web designer. And that web designer's like, I don't think they'll pay but $1,500 for my website, work that I do. I don't understand it. What do you think these businesses are doing all day? They're writing check after check after check to everybody who's not you. And all you have to do is say, no, Mr. Client, we do legit. I know you found that guy down the street who said he's going to do it for $2,500, but let me just tell you about my process real quick. And then it's a wrap. It's done. There ain't no way he's hiring that guy down the street. Not in a million years. Unless he doesn't know anything about business and doesn't care about the results that he's going to get. In which case, he doesn't need to be my client because I'm interested in people that are going places, not people that are going backwards or standing still. So it all comes down to you're not selling to everybody. You're just selling to the right people. Okay? All right. I don't even know what I was getting at. Oh, back to photography. So if they don't have the money to invest in like good quality photography, then it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. So you have to encourage them to invest that extra money. And you're probably going to want to encourage them ahead of time. This is why we do discovery, by the way. So in discovery, we would identify this client doesn't have any assets, like visual assets that are usable and good. So we inform them very early on, hey, as part of this process, before we get to step 4, we can recommend a photographer in most cases, but if we're not in that local area, maybe we can't. You're going to have to find a good photographer, right? These pictures got to be up to par that we're going to be putting in this design, or it's going to bring down the quality of everything that we're trying to do. And they get it because, again, you're working with a client who has money, and so they write the check to a photographer, and they get the job done, and it's all good. So all of this ties together. All of this ties together. All right, question. How does legal stuff fit in here, i.e. compliance-related documents have to be on the website in Germany? This is very critical. Outsource to a lawyer. Let customer deliver content. No, again, it's the fundamental reality is get the items, get the deliverables into the hands of experts who know what should be done in that regard. So if you live in an area where certain legalities are very, very critical, then definitely an expert should be handling that. And then the client should pay for that. Okay. Clarification, legal stuff for us Germans, legal. Yeah, so you guys got a bunch of GDPR stuff that's got to be worked through and thought about and all of that. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody who knows all about GDPR and the legalities of your area should be involved in how that website is being, deployed. Let's see. Question, where do we find the right people? I get a lot of my clients from word of mouth. You're going to start getting them because the word of mouth is going to start changing. Have you ever heard of the phrase, very, very common, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, it's a lot of both. I say it is what you know, but it is also who you know. And it turns out like the minute you start doing this kind of approach and you go from a $5,000 client to a $15,000 client. Well, I'll just tell you right now, the clients who pay $15,000 know other people who will pay $15,000. That's just how this life works. The businesses that can easily write a check for $15,000, which by the way is low. The clients who can afford to just write a check for $15,000 don't hang out with the businesses that can barely afford a $1,000 website. They hang out with other people who can write checks for $15,000. And so you have a great experience with them, and suddenly your next referral that comes in, like magic, can afford a $15,000 website because they came from that other person who could afford the 15. And then you land one for 35 or 50, and they hang in circles that they all are like each other, okay? And so your referral quality, that's why I said, hold on, let me say it one more time because maybe it wasn't clear. Process is everything. This is everything. There isn't any more important thing that you should be focused on. Let's see. I can likely last 5 minutes in a round of jujitsu with you despite never doing it. Oh, 5 minutes. Tyree, do you know how long 5 minutes is? That is a very long time. But I admire your confidence. And if we ever do, we need to do there needs to be an inner circle meetup, maybe an inner circle cruise, maybe an inner circle Sarasota, Florida action. I don't know. Maybe I might know somebody who's down in that area. Maybe we do some little meetups. That'd be pretty cool. But yes, I love jiu-jitsu, and 5 minutes is a very, very long time. Okay, question. What portions of the budget are used to hire the expert assistants? Is there points where to the client you are selling an add-on? No, it's not sold as an add-on. It's sold all through. What I try to do is build relationships with people who know what they're doing in these other areas, right? And a lot of times I just refer out. So I'll just give them referrals, and then they end up giving me referrals back and things like that, which all works out. But for core aspects like copywriting, I don't want to just be, tapping random copywriters here and there. I want to build relationships with copywriters that I know are going to get the job done every single time, regardless of the size of the client. I want to build relationships with UI designers who I know can get the job done every single time. If I'm farming out the wireframing, I want somebody who can do the job every single time. And so I'm building very close relationships with these people so that we have very consistent output and a very consistent team vibe until the point at which maybe you're big enough to just start to bring these people in-house. That's always an option as well. Should I just outsource marketing or price lower for it until I learn it? Again, you don't want to it depends on what you mean by outsource. I'll just go back to building relationships, like build close relationships with people who know what they're doing in these industries, and then either refer the business to them or work on the project together or whatever arrangements you guys want to come up with. There's a lot of ways to skin the cat. You just got to find ways that work for you and for your clients and still end up with a seamless process. Is there any UI training in the inner circle? Hold on, that's the wrong question. Are there any UI trainings in the inner circle? Just signed up and I haven't found any, no specific section for it. No, because I'm not a UI designer. So you don't want me doing UI design trainings. So I am looking for a guest UI design expert to bring into the inner circle, and their entire job is going to be teach the inner circle awesome UI design tactics and skills and everything else, okay? So that's what I'm currently on the look for right now. So if you know somebody, put them in contact with me and we'll talk. How do you get the client to understand that a theme, forest, an element, or site is not good for them? Most non-tech people don't care about what's under the hood, but only what it looks like. Because none of this, there's only one column right here. This is the only column that's under the hood. This is not 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 under the hood. This is their business and their brand being communicated out into the world for everybody to see. And it's either going to get them a lot of money or it's going to get them no money. And that's is not under the hood as you. We're in the driver's seat now. Honestly, you're right. I don't care what's under the hood. But when they care about these things right here, and they know the importance of these things, and you're like, oh, by the way, everything under the hood is taken care of. Every T crossed, every I dotted, makes them feel much, much, much more comfortable, right? But this is all not under the hood. Stuff that they can easily understand, and stuff that other agencies and freelancers, because again, here's the thing. If I talk about all this, and then another agency comes in and only talks about this column right here, I win. You've got to talk about the entire picture of what makes their website and business successful online. Because at the end of the day, that's all they care about. And that's all this process talks about. It's just, this is a little piece. This under the hood is a little piece of that, but it's not the whole thing. So I go back to the saying, process is everything. Because if your process is legit and it talks about all of this as a whole, they come to the conclusion that these are the people I need to be working with. Whether they're technical or non-technical. Because, this is just business right here. This is classic marketing. This is classic everything that's not technical. How do you present the idea of the client having to pay for plugins? Do you say that on the initial meeting so they already they will have an ongoing charge? Yeah, so you talk about the process on the sales call. You do a bunch of other things on the sales call as well. So this is where I'll point back to the inner circle. It's called sales call checkpoints. There's a series of checkpoints that you want to hit on a sales call. Process is one of the checkpoints. There's other checkpoints that you want to hit. Talking about price is and I'll give everybody a free advice here, okay? That's tangentially related to this, but not really part of this talk. If you suspect for 1 second that the person you're talking to can't afford your services or doesn't value your services, start talking about the price as fast as you possibly can, right? That's when you bring out the line. Okay, just before we get into all the details here, I just wanted you to know our projects, typical for what you're asking for your kind of business, they're starting at around $5,000, $7,500, somewhere in that area. Is that what you expected to pay? That's kind of like hey, let's look at them. Like, how are they going to react, right? And then if they clutch their pearls, then it's like, all right, it's good. It's because it's like we don't have to waste our time, okay? But if they're like, yeah, that sounds about right, then you're good to go, right? Because now, look, using this process, I can tailor now. Now I have that first bit of knowledge in my head, that first bit of insight. What did I say? We can make a $5,000 project out of this process. It's just not going to have a lot of pages, right? Or we can make a $125,000 project out of this process. I get free reign, anywhere from 5 to 125. And this is random numbers. But you get the point, right? So now what we do is price bracketing. So first of all, we figure out, what are they asking for? So when I go through my whole process and because again, what is the process communicating to them? When they hear the process, they're immediately thinking dollars. This is obvious. This is going to cost some money, right? I'm not getting a fucking frozen pizza anymore. Okay. So I'm already thinking more money. So if you're communicating a process where they're thinking more money and then they start asking for more things, they're either dumb or they have the money, right? Like there's no other real option, right? Because if somebody's like, this is going to be expensive. And when you're like, okay, so what else do you want from this website? And they just start rattling off more things. Well, to people that don't have the money, in their mind, they're like, damn, this is more expensive and everything I say is going to make it more expensive. So they're trying not to say more things. They're just like, what you'll start to hear is, well, we just need a basic site. We just need to get started. That's the kind of language that lets you know they're on the bottom end. But if they're just like, oh, we also need this and we need this and we want to make sure that this happens, now we see, oh, they obviously have some money, or they're dumb and don't realize this is all going to cost more money. Okay, so now you're starting to get a glimpse of like where they might be. And so that's where you bring out the bracket. So you say, okay, cool. We've talked about all this stuff. I understand your goals. We understand the process now. I understand what you're wanting out of this website. Based on that, I'm guessing this is going to be somewhere between, and then you throw out two numbers. Let's just make up random numbers. Let's say 25,000 and 50,000. That's a good bracket, right? 25,000, 50, there's a lot of room in there. And then it's just a very simple question of what end of that range do you feel like you're on? Like based on what we've talked about, what end of that range and this is where, again, you're going to get more insight. And here's the thing. You package it up as, if I have $50,000 to work with, I can do a lot more of what we talked about. If I only have $25,000 to work with, I obviously can't do everything, right? And so, you get to decide. Like the client, the power is in their hands to be like, well, I want all the things. So I'm comfortable being closer to 50. And again, I throw out these numbers and people are like, I can't even fathom, right? Your brain is turning to mush. Let me go back to the story of I was on a sales call. This is when it really clicked. This was earlier on. I'm having a conversation with a marketing director. Okay. Not an owner of a company, just a marketing director. And they want bids for the website. And I wasn't, I didn't even have all this dialed in yet. She actually asked me what the price would be, which I say in my sales call trainings, never make them ask for the price. Never get to a point where they have to ask you what it's going to cost. You've lost all control of the conversation. Okay. You always talk about the price first. And so she asked me and I was like, damn, she asked. Okay. So then I'm in that mode of like, you're not 100% confident. And I'm like, okay, I know I got to throw out a bracket, right? So I was like, well, 50, and I'm not like, I said like 50 to 80. Okay. That was like the range that I threw out. Thinking 80 was like the top end. Okay. You know what she said in the conversation? She's like, oh, okay, well, I was cleared to start at 80. Some people can't fathom this, right? Like she was cleared to start conversation. Like 80 was the start of like they were comfort. Like they expected to spend about that on what they were asking for. So when I say 25 to 50 and people are like, whoa, that's not even high for a lot of companies. Like this is not, I was doing PPC with a company that was spending $100,000 a month on just ads. Just ads. Imagine walking up to that company and be like, we'll do a website for you for $2,500. They will laugh in your face. And I'm not saying to go after all of those clients and that's who you should be going after and doing all these amazingly big projects. I'm asking you to think about money differently and think about your business differently and how you've been positioning it and how this ties into your process. Because if you go from 5,000 to 10,000 and you just love that and that's like your amazing win, then that's all I want. That's all I want. If you go from 2,500 to 7,500 and you're like, this changed my life going from 2,500, that's all you have to do. I only want for you what you want for yourself. If you want $60,000 projects, $100,000 projects, then I want that for you too. And I'll do my best to help you get those. If all you want is $15,000 and $10,000 projects, that's fine too. That's fine too. Everybody's at a different place and wants different things. Okay. So I'm not saying you have to go to these big levels. You don't even have to have a big team. You just want you by yourself, a couple of contractors you trust. You could build a real nice business that way too. All right. But it comes back to processes, everything. This is going to be the key to having that and not living project to project and not running a hobby business and okay, you get it. All right. I got 5 minutes because I think we've spent tons of time. 11. Yeah. 2.5 hours. Did I miss anything? I probably missed a bunch that were back up top. We still have good viewership. That's why I have a hard time leaving, shutting it off. It's like, these people want more. Are you going to make videos about market research and competitor research in the inner circle soon? Yes, it's just really difficult there are some techniques and strategies, but it's like if you have a company that's your target focus, you could teach it how to do it. How would I approach it for this company right here? But that may be a little different than how I'd approach it for this other company over here and this other company over here. And is it a small company? Is it a big company? It's really hard. It's difficult. It's harder than people think to package this kind of stuff up into here's a training and just watch this training and bam, like you're good to go. It's like, a lot of it is experience based, right? It's like being a pilot. People are like, hey, can you make a training on how to fly a plane? It's like, well, turns out there kind of need to be a lot of trainings on that. And then we'd kind of have to sit together in a lot of ways. And, I'd have to watch you play with the controls and such. And, it's like, it's a whole topic in and of itself. Someone asked about copywriting earlier. It's like, there are copywriting experts who have made, 50-hour courses, like 50 hours of copywriting training package up. So it's like, well, if I do 50 hours of copywriting, which I wouldn't even do, I bring in, a copywriting expert to do that. But that's a lot of resources, a lot of time, maybe a lot of distraction from other things. And so I've got to hit what I think are like the most important things. And then I've got a long runway. That's why you're only paying $20 a month for the inner circle, right? It's like, there's a long runway. It's just chill, get help from other people, watch the videos as they get released, work on putting the pieces together. I'm going to release them as much as I can, but at the same time, it's $20 a month. It's not like you're paying $500 a month or something. It's not like we're doing one-on-one mentoring or consulting. Like, those are options, but I can only produce what I can produce as a human with 24 hours in the day and 3 kids and 3 businesses, right? So it's just got to go piece by piece by piece and then hope people are patient. And if you're not patient, that's fine too, right? I get on consulting calls all the time. I get on mentoring. I do mentoring type stuff all the time for people because they're like, I don't want to wait for your videos. I need help on this now. And so that's the way to get help on this now. What about graphic design, logo design, custom illustrations? Usually hire someone for that, or do your clients usually have their own graphic designer or that employer? No, I mean, yeah, clients can come to us sometimes with designs already done. There's a disaster of a project that I just basically was like, no, we're either redoing all of this or, you're finding somebody else, more or less, because they handed over this design that a quote unquote designer did. And I'm looking at this business, and it's a multi-location international business. They have locations in 4 different countries, okay? And I looked at the design that they got, and clearly the wrong hire was made on the design side of things. And so I wasn't like, yeah, we'll build it for you. Pay us all the money. I turned down the project more or less because I was like, look, this is not going to represent your brand well. This is not going to get you the results that you're hoping for. This is going to be an absolute disaster. And, I'm happy to redesign it for you, have it redesigned by our team, but I can't in good conscience build this for you. And they decided, okay, well, we'll get somebody else to build it, but fine with me. That's not the game I'm playing, because I want to be, again, working with businesses that are going somewhere, not going backwards. And if I just see wow, that's just, that's not going to get the job done. Just being honest with them. And I'll give another nugget. Here's another sales call nugget and project scoping nugget. The number one sales, what will we call it? It's not a technique. It's not a strategy. It's a mindset. The number one sales mindset is positive indifference. Positive indifference. When I get on a sales call, I am positively indifferent. What am I positive about? I'm positive about the opportunity. I'm positive about my process and the work that I do. I'm positive about growing this person's business. I'm thankful that they're talking to me. Very, 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 very positive. Yet, I'm also very indifferent. I don't care whether you end up working with me or not. You could say yes. and I'll be even more positive. You could say no, and I'll still be as positive. I'm not broke. I don't need your money. I'm not living project to project. And this is my process. This is the way that we work. And if it's not the right fit, then it's not the right fit. And that's fine too. And that's it's actually quite rare. But having the attitude of positive indifference, clients pick up on that. And they're like, you know what? He's just telling me this because he's being honest. Like this whole process that he's walking me through, this is actually his process. And I know that's actually his process because he's willing to walk away from me. If I am not willing to follow the process, he's willing to walk away. That must be 100% his process. And when he threw out that price, he's willing to walk away if I'm not willing to pay that price. So that must legitimately be his price. What do they get from all? They get, it's immense trust. Everything that you're telling them, they feel like this is just 100% honesty because he is 100% willing to walk the other direction right now. You can challenge the clients on sales calls. Most people would never do that. No, let's all get along, right? You can challenge the way that they're thinking about things. Oh, well, no, we don't need SEO. We don't need PPC. We don't need just build the site for us. Well, I'd like to challenge that because I've watched other clients say that in the past, and then they don't get any traffic, and then they don't get any leads, and then they come to me and they knock on my door and they say, where's our traffic and leads? And I say, remember that conversation we had about how you need some marketing? Okay. So then I just tell them that up front now. I'm like, look, if you're not interested in marketing this website, then we're probably not a good fit. And I just tell them the whole scenario because here's what's going to happen. We're going to not market the website. The website's not going to get the traffic you want. It's not going to get the leads you want. It's not going to get the ROI you want. And then you're going to blame me. And so, no, I unsubscribe from that. So again, I'm just trying to entertain you, but that's the conversation you have to have, just being honest with them. Mr. Klein, if you don't want to market the website, we're probably not a good fit. And explain why. And then they're like, damn, this guy wasn't just trying to sell me SEO. He wasn't just trying to sell me PPC. He's about to fucking walk away if I don't do this. Why? Because he knows that it's what I need or I'm not going to get what I asked for. So it just communicates positive indifference. What are your other options beside positive indifference that we see all the time? Desperation. Say anything to get the sale. All I want is the close. I got to close. I only want to close the right people who are on the same page. That's the only people I want to close. I don't want to close everybody. Definitely don't want to close the wrong people. Definitely don't want to close red flags. Why do I want that drama and nonsense in my agency? No, I just want to close the right people. And so when people feel like, wow, this guy is positive about all of the opportunities and all the things that he can do for us, but he also at the same time doesn't seem to care a lick if we sign this contract. Like he doesn't need us. He just, he's positive, but hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it does work out, it works out. It's great. Positive indifference. Okay. What is your advice for a startup web design company? Do you think they can follow all these steps as their process? So overnight, you can't snap your fingers and go from frozen pizza to our great Italian pizza man, okay? Can't do that overnight. But you can work your way there. And you can start to put in piece by piece by piece. And so, no, you're not going to be like, oh man, yesterday I was doing $500 websites, but today I closed a $50,000 project. That's probably not going to happen. But you can go from 500 to 1,500. You can go from 1,500 to 2,500. You can go from 2,500 to $5,000. Then you can make the jump to 7,500. Then you can make the jump to 10. When you've broken 10, you could probably easily make the jump to 20, 25. When you've done 25, you're going to start to feel like, 50 is not that far off. The jumps get bigger, but they get more comfortable making them. And then when you've done, I'll just let you guys in on the secret that reinforces the mindset. When you've done, let's say you do a $25,000 project and you've never done a $25,000 project before. The amount of money. First of all, the ability to just have contractors help you. You're not doing all of the work yourself and have all of the stress yourself. Having contractors help you. The extra money that you have lying around, you're not having to chase the next project because you're getting the money you should be getting for the work that you're doing and the value that you're providing, right? You just have money in the bank, and it's just so comforting. It's so comforting that you're like, the idea that I would ever say yes to a $2,500 website or a $5,000 website, like a 20-page $5,000 website, like a lot of people do. The chances that I would ever say yes to that again, it feels like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that because you suddenly have realized some people, it takes them till their 30s and 40s. They grew up in a bad environment, bad parents, bad everything. And they just have kind of gotten the vibe that they're like not worth much as a human being. Like that's kind of been communicated to them their entire life. But at around 30 or 40, they've had these other experiences. They've met new, healthier people. And they've started to come to the realization, I am a worthy human being. I am worth something. I do have skills. I do have personality. I do have this. I do have that. Like it opens their eyes to that. That's kind of a lot of you in this situation where you're like, you don't value your own skills and work or yourself or whatever enough to market yourself, right? Or talk about yourself in a certain way or have positive indifference or put out a big number. And it takes a little like experience in a different situation where like you have that $25,000, somebody says yes to you at $25,000 and you have that experience. And then you see how they treat you differently because clients who have lots of money tend to, and especially if you have positioned yourself as a consultant and not a pixel pusher, the life of a pixel pusher is not a good life. You do not get talked to very well as a pixel pusher, right? And so you just come to the realization that, wow, I can do this. I do have a lot of value to offer clients. They should be paying me more than $2,500. And it's like that other person that wakes up realizing that they have like value as a human being after all this years of like neglect and just not being treated well. You're now coming to the realization that, wow, I have a lot of value in this game, in this industry, and people should pay for that. And that's the new reality that you happen to live in. And so asking somebody that has that realization, like, would you ask that person, no, go back to that environment where everybody treated you like shit? They'd be like, nope, I'm good. Unsubscribe from that. They're now subscribed to a new reality. And that's what you're going to find happens. At every tier, you're going to subscribe yourself to a new reality. And you just don't want to live in the other reality anymore. And that's good because you're elevating. Okay. Kevin hitting some hard ass facts there. I think it's what I experienced. Okay. And it's what I know. I've talked to a lot of people who have been there and now are here. I've heard enough of the stories to know that we all share a lot of similar things. Okay. All right. That's all I'm going to say. I thank you guys for attending this masterclass. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope that the value was there based on the hype of the copy that was trying to get you here. Okay. And that's it. So other questions, comments, you can drop them on the video. This video stays live on YouTube. I'm not going to take it down. I'm not just going to put it in the inner circle. It's going to stay here for free, live on YouTube. Ask away, comment away. And I'll be back very soon with more videos, back to our regularly scheduled programming, PB 101, best practices, all that good stuff. But thank you guys. I'm out. Peace.